I'd like to call the Code Board May 13, 2020 meeting to order. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
I have, yes.
If so,
Well, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
okay. Been motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Robertson.
Hold the roll.
Vote,
Okay. Roll call.
do we want to vote on?
Yeah, let's vote on that first.
Yes,
Oh, they did, okay.
Vote on the
all in
minutes.
favor,
All in-
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now let's vote.
all opposed?
None.
There's what, 1, 2, 3, 6.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Roll call.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Reinhardt,
Here.
Mr. Robinson,
Here.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ms. Roby,
Oh, here.
Here.
Mr. Harrington,
Here.
Ms. Himes,
Here.
Ms. Kundig.
Ms. Connick,
Can we get
excused.
a motion to excuse Mrs. Condick this time, please?
So moved.
Can I get a
Second.
second? Been moved by Ms. Roberts, second by Mr. Robertson.
No, this is Mr. Harrington.
Oh.
That's Mr. Robinson.
Oh, really? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Done.
All opposed?
Okay, and we did, or can we get an approval for the minutes if everyone?
Yes,
read
we
them?
just voted on that.
did.
I did that already.
Are there any disclosure of ex parte here today? Okay. Can we have our officers be sworn in at this time?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
We will be calling cases by number for the most part in order as they are listed on the agenda. When your case is called, please come forward to be sworn in. State your name and address for the record. If you are not the owner of the property, please state your relationship to the property. Our procedures are recorded, so please speak into the microphone. Okay, the board hears from the code officers first, and then you will be given the opportunity to respond. Please direct all responses to the board. Witnesses may also testify following the same procedure. Thank you. Our first case.
We do have some announcements.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right, okay.
Page 3,
Page 3.
case number 7, CEB 05-21-117 at 496 Eastwood Lane is in compliance 5/12/2021. Page number 5, case number 13, CEB 05-21-125 at 320 Zelda Boulevard is in compliance 5/11/2021. Case number 15, CEB 05-21-129 at 526 North Charles Street is in compliance 5/13/2021. Page number 7, case number 20, CEB 05-21-134 at 560 Wells Street is in compliance 5/12/2021. Page number 9, case number 28, CEB 05-21-147 at 827 Valencia Avenue is in compliance 5/4/2021. Case number 31, CEB 05-21-153 at Laura Street, parcel ID 539810000710 is in compliance 5/12/2021. Page number 11, Case number 36, CEB 05-21-159 at 851 Valencia Avenue is in compliance 5/12/2021. Case number 37, CEB 04-21-99 at 1028 Cadillac Drive is in compliance 5/12/2021. Page number 12, case number 41, CEB 11-20-223 at 214 South Grandview Avenue is in compliance 5/10/2021. Page 13, case number 44, CEB 04-21-106 at 932 North Halifax Avenue is in compliance 5/7/2021. Page 14, case number 48, CEB 03-21-89 is in, at 959 Berkshire Road, is in compliance 5/10/2021. Case number 51, CEB 04-21-112 at 266 Lexington Drive is in compliance 5/12/2021. Page number 15, case number 53, CEB 02-21-77 at 128 Maplewood Drive is in compliance 5/12/2021. And that's it.
Okay,
Good.
heard the cases. Okay. We now have case number CEB 04-21-90, Albert H. Thompson Estate.
Okay.
Mr. Reckons.
Good morning. My name is Cliff Reckenzone. I'm an inspector with the city. My credentials are on file. This property is here for a finding of noncompliance or compliance. The case was first opened as a complaint on June 11th, 2019. Property was first notified on June 21st. The property, I've had no contact with the property owner at all. I met up with somebody that claimed they were part of the estate at the last hearing. I gave her all my information. She's never made contact with me. The city's requesting that the property's been found in noncompliance and given to next cutoff to come into compliance.
Okay, does the board have any questions?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the city's recommendation. You was gonna say something? Oh. So I would motion that we accept that recommendation
So to hold them in
to
non-compliance.
hold them in non-compliance
Compliance.
and check again in our next meeting.
Okay,
I'll second.
it's been moved and properly second. We don't need a roll call.
Just the problem is, just make sure nobody's here in the audience,
Yeah,
this case.
no,
Is there a respondent here for 809 Nile Street? No.
no,
Okay.
So
okay,
just for the record, that cutoff date is 6/2/2021. The next cutoff date
Okay.
is June the 2nd, 2021.
okay. That's what I asked for.
We haven't had a vote yet.
No vote yet.
Okay. All in
Got it.
favor?
Do you have a
Mr.
second?
Gonzalez made the motion.
And Mr. Robertson second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's been moved and properly second. Okay. Case number 05-21-120, Ryan Holly and Idle Holly.
Good morning, folks. My name is Inspector Jean-Baptiste, Daytona Beach, credentials on file.
Yes.
Holly.
1223 Madison Avenue, ma'am?
Okay,
Could you state your name, please?
Holly Ryan, Ryan.
And they've got your name backwards. Okay. Could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll hear from our officer first.
Thank you.
Please.
Again, my name is Inspector Baptiste with Daytona Beach, credentials on file. This is a citizen complaint that was generated on April 27th, 2020. The damages, the violations for damaged fascia, outside storage, overgrown landscaping, dirt and grime. As such, a notice of violation was generated and sent certified mail. It was delivered on May 7th, 2020, with a compliance date of June 7th, 2020. Upon my reinspection on April 5th, 2021, the facility is not in compliance. While posting on April 28th, 2021, the neighbor had Miss Ryan, I believe, on the phone, and we were able to talk, and I explained to her the violation and what needed to be done. She mentioned that a contractor will be working on it. At this time, the city recommends a finding of noncompliance till next cutoff, please.
Okay,
Is that the picture current one from the,
That's
Yes.
as of yesterday.
as of yesterday?
I'm sorry, no, I take that back. The date's on there. This is as of yesterday.
okay.
No, it's not. It's not the current pictures. There was a lot of work done yesterday. The carport's cleaned out. I've got pictures on my phone. The carport's cleaned out. The soffit and fascia has been repainted. The roofing, although it didn't pass inspection, has been fixed. The carport's cleaned out. It's got the sandbags are there for preparation for hurricane. I am blind. I am legally blind and can't drive, so I try to keep everything where I need it so I can have access to it. So I do have the sandbags in a bin in the carport. I do have my electric bike and my four-wheel bike in the carport, but the rest is, and the grill. But the rest of the stuff has been cleaned. I don't know what's in the front because I can't see the pictures, but I do know that the pictures are very different today than they were yesterday.
Okay. Can I ask, do we have our updated picture for yesterday?
Madam Chair, that picture
It's from yesterday, ain't it?
From the 12th.
The 12th.
is 12.
Oh, okay. That's yesterday. I thought,
2:19 PM.
okay. Okay.
So I have a question for the citizen. So
Hollis?
when did you get all this work done? When,
Well-
if he took pictures of 219, then when did you clean it up?
Okay, so I had a contractor, I've been waiting for my roof inspection so that I could, because the roofer was supposed to do the soffits, the fascia, and the roof. And until he came out, I didn't know the soffits weren't done. So I had a contractor come out, was supposed to come out last week, and every day he kept pushing it off, pushing it off, pushing it off. And he didn't come out till yesterday. Yesterday? No. Monday and Tuesday he came out and fixed the soffits. And then he didn't paint, so I had to do that yesterday after work. And then because the roofer hasn't passed inspection, I had left all the roofing materials where they were because of the fact that I didn't know if they were mine or if he was gonna come pick them up. So I did get them taken care of yesterday. They were in the driveway. I did get them taken care of. There's a sandbox in the middle of the front yard, and that's because people keep driving over when they pull in. Again, I'm blind and I'm legally blind. When people pull in, they think they need to pull in at an angle because they want to put the passenger side door closer, and then they run over my water main. And my box sits right up on top of my plumbing. The box sits right on top, and I'm constantly having to get a plumber to come out and fix the plumbing. So I put the sandbox so that the roofers wouldn't pull up over the water main again.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
Anthony Jackson, attorney for the city of Daytona Beach. I just wanted to remind the board as well as Mr. Gonzalez that we're only here this morning on a finding of compliance or non-compliance, the whys and the wheres. I mean, it's okay, of course, y'all can ask anything you desire, but
Right.
as far as the question really is, at the time when she was cited was the non-compliance, which would have been May of 2020. And if she was in non-compliance, we're asking for a finding of non-compliance and give the inspector opportunity to verify the improvements that she's indicated. And so if we just give it till next cutoff, so that the inspector can go in and be able to give an affidavit of compliance if indeed he agrees with her
Okay.
that she's in compliance.
Excuse me, Madam
The
Chair,
chair will entertain.
if I may, but, you know, we have to make a decision whether compliance or non-compliance.
Right.
So I need to find out from her, since she says that she made some corrections, if indeed she made and when.
No,
So,
it was no intent to criticize you, Mr.
right, no,
I
no.
apologize if it came
no.
across that way.
Yeah, it did come across that way, but,
Apologize.
you know, it helps me to make a decision, the right decision, with the more information that I have.
Understand.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to find the respondent non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by 6/2/21.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved.
I didn't, yeah, I heard it,
Second,
but
Ms. Roberson, I believe.
I second, yeah.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Thank you.
You keep pointing over there.
Okay.
We're gonna
it's
take
been
your pencil
moved and
away.
Properly second.
And-
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Ms. Hollister. Yeah. Case number 0521160, John P. Dodge.
State your name, please.
John P. Dodge.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll hear from our code officer first, please, Mr. Cleggs.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Officer Clegg, my credentials are on file. This is a field-generated case at 318 South Street. It was first notified on July 22nd of 2020 with compliance date of August 28th. He was cited on this property specifically for outside storage, junk vehicles, rubbish, dirt, and grime. I have not had any contact with the owner until April 29th. He said he just was out of state with a funeral, and he was going to start working on the property. The staff's recommending a non-compliance next cutoff.
Okay. Mr. Dodge, is there
Yes.
anything you'd like to say?
I just want to say my mother had recently passed, and I inherited a lot of items where they liquidated the estate. I just got back in town from Virginia the day that I got the letter, and I contacted Mr. Clegg and told him the situation. I'm making an attempt to get the vehicles inside the building, hence the garage door that is not quite finished.
Okay, well, today is just a motion for compliance and non-compliance.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
chair-
all the vehicles, are, except one, is cleaned up from the outside of the fence. Everything that I've gotten inside was on the outside of the property. I do still need to get the things inside the fence if that's necessary. Mr. Clegg had recommended I put the fabric on the fence, which I've done. I still got some more work to do on the fence.
Okay,
I am making an attempt to correct it and come into compliance.
okay, thank you. Mr. Robinson?
I make a motion, we accept the city's recommendation.
Second.
Non-compliant.
Okay, it's been motioned by Mr. Robinson, second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
Been moved and properly second. Thank you, Mr. Dodge.
Thank you.
He's on the next case.
At the next
Yeah.
one.
No, okay.
Oh,
I got another one.
Case number 0521161, John P. Dodge. You've already been sworn in, so, Mr. Clegg.
Yeah, this is the same thing, field-generated case, same date, July 22nd of 2020, with a compliance of August 28th. Only additional violation of this was failure to maintain a fence and the garage door. Again, he has junk vehicles in outside storage, and the back of the house needs to be removed.
Okay,
And it's a large amount, too, so.
Two different properties, is that what it is?
yeah.
Two different parcels, yeah.
Right next to each other, two properties right next.
There goes the picture. The one on the right's 318 and the other one's 326.
Okay. Okay,
Find in non-compliance.
Second.
okay. It has been moved by Mr. Harrington and second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dawes.
Okay. Thank you.
Case number 521115, Peter Brady. Is Mr.
333
Brady
Noble.
present?
Oh. I thought you were here. State your name, please.
Peter Brady,
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mark Jones, City of Daytona Beach. My credentials are on file. This case was a field-generated case for overgrown landscaping, outside storage, and peeling paint on September 10th. The notice of violation was signed for on October 13th with compliance due November 3rd. I have had contact, in fact, even yesterday afternoon with the owner. He's in the process of, he has cleaned up the outside storage. He is still working on getting the paint redone. I'm asking for a finding of noncompliance with compliance next cutoff.
Okay. Mr. Brady, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, it's obviously not compliant.
Right.
I'm in the process of trying, I put a new roof on it last fall. Had it painted last summer, but it wasn't a good job, whoever it was that did it. So I think I'm gonna have to repaint the whole house properly. I don't know how long it's gonna take. I can't get a guy to look at it until the 24th of this month. And how long it'll take him to do it, I don't know, but I think the paint has to be removed. It's a 90-year-old house. It
No.
deserves a good paint job. I guess that's about it.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we find this case in noncompliance and review it at the next cutoff date.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Robertson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Brady, you have until next cutoff, which is June the 2nd, to
2021.
come into compliance.
Hopefully
Thank
that'll
you.
give me plenty of time to do it. Thank you.
Okay.
If not, you've got my contact,
Good.
correct? Yes. Okay.
Case number 0521116, Johnny Jones. Is Mr. Jones here? 1912 South Peninsula? Okay.
This was a citizen's complaint that was opened on July 9th of 2020 for building a storage shed without a permit. A notice of violation was generated on August 19th with compliance due September 9th. The owner submitted an application for a permit on September 24th. The permit department emailed a response back requiring some additional information back on September 25th, 2020, and there has been no response from the owner. We're requesting a finding of noncompliance with compliance next cutoff.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion. Mr. Robertson,
Second.
second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Our next case is 0521117.
It's in
William-
compliance.
Yeah, that one's in compliance. On May 12th, 2021.
All right, it is May 12th,
Just curious, Jude,
2021.
Mark
We're
Foster?
getting to that, but I don't have to go
Mark
all through
Foster?
that.
He is one of our inspectors, but he isn't here today.
Oh, because he had to drive with these cases, Mark Foswick.
Yeah.
Are these
Okay.
cases? I was
Yeah,
just-
he's one of our new inspectors.
Okay, I got you.
Case number 0421105, Timothy Cooper Jr.
You can pull the microphone up and just state your name, please.
Timothy Cropper.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cropper, we're here from our inspector, Mr. Yates.
Good morning. Inspector Yates, City of Daytona Beach, Neighborhood Services. My credentials are on file. This case was opened June 5th, 2020, and was field generated. The notice of violation was issued the same day for outside storage, unmaintained sidewalks, and parking in the front yard of both cars and boats. They were first notified August 19, 2020, and compliance was due September 16, 2020. I have spoke with the owner as recently as the 4th of this month. He is aware of the issue, and he expects it to be fixed in 90 days. I request non-compliance with compliance due by the next cutoff.
Okay. Mr. Cropper, do you have anything to say?
I have corrected 90% of the issue. The one boat is for sale and is currently being marketed for sale. I'm trying to get into compliance as soon as possible, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make the motion, we accept the city's recommendation and non-compliance.
Okay.
Second.
It has been moved by Mr. Robertson, second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Cropper, you have until next cutoff, which is the 6th, next month, the 2nd.
Okay.
To come into compliance. Thank you.
Thanks.
Number 9, case number 0521121, Marjorie L. Curran.
Anyone here for 842 North Peninsula?
Okay. Mr. Yates.
This case was opened July 27, 2020, and was a citizen's complaint. The notice of violation was issued the same day for a cracked and damaged landscaping wall, wood rot at the fascia, peeling paint, dirt and grime. They were first notified on August 3, 2020, and compliance was due September 14, 2020. The only communication I've had with the owner was on April 30th, 2021, when they said the home looked fine. I'd like to ask for a finding of noncompliance with compliance due by the next cutoff.
Okay. The chair.
Make the motion that
Okay.
we accept the city's recommendation.
Okay, it's been motioned by Mr.
Second.
Robinson to accept, second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Case number 10, Donald Theodore Dance and Odetta Dance.
State your name, please.
My name is Sarah Metz. I'm here as an attorney on behalf of Don and Charlene Dance, who own 727 North Grandview Avenue.
Are you guys going to testify as well?
It's possible.
Okay, then go ahead and state your name.
I'm Charlene Odetta Dance.
And your name, sir?
Donald Theodore Dance.
Okay, could you raise your right hands? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you.
Okay. We'll hear from Mr. Yates first, please.
This case was opened September 28, 2020, and was a rule of 6. The notice of violation was issued the same day for broken windows, peeling paint, missing address numbers, and a dilapidated front porch and steps. They were first notified October 23, 2020, and compliance was due December 4, 2020. I've spoken with the owner on site several times, but no real progress. I also spoke with the owner's representative on May 4th, 2021, who said they would be working towards a permit and did have a contractor. A permit has been submitted as of May 6th, but at this point, it has still not been granted and no work has been started. I'd like to ask for a finding of noncompliance with compliance due at the next cutoff.
Okay.
We're actually going to be asking for an extension of time rather than a finding of noncompliance at this juncture. And the reason for that is when my clients were first notified of the issues, first of all, they purchased the property. Unbeknownst to them, there were already issues with the the violations that they were later notified, they found out about that 2 months after they purchased the property and had already been looking for contractors to renovate the property, as their goal is to help this area become less run down than it currently is. So that is their ultimate goal, and they, more than anybody else, want to see this come into compliance. The main issue that they've had is that they were defrauded out of about $20,000 to $30,000 from the first person that they hired to do this back in November. The windows, which is the major issue that requires permitting, they were told by the person that they thought was a GC back then that the windows were on order. They paid them $20,000 for that back in November. They didn't get the windows in until March of this year. They found out in mid to late February that this person was not a general contractor, had not pulled any permits, and even so far as went to trying to fix other items and pretended they were fixed, took pictures of the pretend fixes. So we'll be going after that person in some litigation, unfortunately. However, at this juncture, they have found a licensed general contractor. That general contractor has pulled those permits, and they have been on top of everything with this general contractor at this point. As you may know, it's a very difficult thing in this environment to get those. We have spoken with the general contractor, and the one that is actually licensed, that has pulled the permits, has advised that it would be 45 days start to finish as soon as the permit is approved. So to our knowledge, having spoken with the permitting department yesterday, as late as yesterday, all of the information that they need is on file with them to our understanding at this moment. This is also a historic home, and therefore the permitting process does take a little bit longer. So we understand that this is finding of compliance or non-compliance, but you have been pushing just to the next date, which is June 2nd, and I can just tell you, based on the situation, having to get the permitting, going through the historic, and the fact that they had this major issue with the contractor, on top of which Mr. Dance had major back surgery in January, which also led to the delay in getting things to occur. That being said, we're just asking you to push this for the next 2, so that gives them the actual amount of time that their contractor has told them is needed. We believe that it would be fully complete within 60 days from today's date. There are the issues, for example, the missing street numbers and the porch and steps, those have been cleaned up. So the things that they didn't need a permit for or a GC to accomplish have been accomplished. It's the things that they got defrauded out of a significant amount of money over that have caused the issue. But they are working diligently towards that. And so we are asking for an extension of time before you enter the noncompliance order.
May I ask you a question? Was this property purchased without title insurance?
Do you know if there was title insurance on the property? Did you get title? You don't know if you got
Yeah,
title
title
insurance?
insurance, I'm sorry, yeah, we did it properly, we have title insurance, and we have construction insurance on the property.
Okay. Yes, there is title insurance.
And they didn't find these violations?
The violations were not entered at that time, though the record shows that there were pictures taken and that there were issues as early as even June before they owned the property, but the actual notice wasn't issued until after they purchased the property.
What's the city's position on this?
Yeah.
First of all, Madam Chair, members of the board, as just in speaking with the inspector now, I'm just not sure. I think we're pretty much almost there. We don't disagree with Attorney Metz on the status of where they are. The inspector acknowledges it probably will take them additional time, and he doesn't have a problem with the time. We do feel that they are in noncompliance and that there should be a finding of noncompliance. Those are really not concurrent. They don't have to happen. The time the time limit and the finding of noncompliance doesn't have to match up. We can make a finding of noncompliance.
We know that.
Give them the time, as we normally would.
The question is whether they're going to give you, what is the city's position on time? July cutoff and August cutoff, and
Yeah.
June cutoff?
Yeah, what I did want to say though, is the inspector did indicate that he had met with the purchaser before they purchased their property, and I think they are like living next door or nearby the property. But in any sense, I'll look to the inspector to see how much time he feels is reasonable, and just ask for that finding.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Yates.
The city would be agreeable to the August cutoff and noncompliance.
Yeah, okay.
That would be 8-4.
8-4.
B, okay.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the city's recommendation of noncompliance with the cutoff date of 8-4 to come in compliance.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Roberson, second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's been moved and approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Quick point of clarification, they actually live in DeLand, I believe, or Delta. They live in DeBerry. They own both properties.
Right, no, that's when I spoke with him before he purchased it, because
The
he was,
second one.
yeah, before he purchased this 727.
Okay.
He was working on the other
Okay.
property, and that's when he got the information about the fines, or sorry, the code violation.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Just wanted to clarify, they
Thank you.
don't actually live next door.
No.
That's okay, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. and
Thank you.
Mrs. Dan. Okay. Our next case is case number 11-05-21123, Sandra Correa. 802 North Halifax. Okay.
Could you state your name, please?
Chandra Serrano.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
right.
We'll hear from Mr. Yates first, please.
This case was opened on August 10th, 2020, and was a citizen's complaint. The notice of violation was issued August 11th, 2020, for parking on the lawn and outside storage. They were first notified September 28th, 2020, and compliance was due November 11th, 2020. I spoke with the owner on site when it was posted about the violations. I also spoke with the owner's daughter on April 29th, 2021, who said they would begin work on the issue shortly. I believe they are starting to work on the issues, and I'd like a finding of noncompliance with compliance due by the next cutoff. I think they'll have no problem getting it done.
When this was originally issued, I did not speak to you because my grandmother lived with me. She was on hospice. And
No,
she
ma'am.
passed
I
away
spoke with, I believe it was
in April.
in April.
Right.
No, in April, I spoke with you.
Right.
Yeah.
But I hadn't spoken to anyone. No one had until April.
No, I spoke with someone claiming to be the owner on site on September 28th. It may have been a brother, it was a younger gentleman. He said
That was
he lived.
right around the time my grandmother was passing away, so it was probably a family member.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't see any current pictures you've taken because those are from original.
Okay.
Well, regardless of the picture, is this in compliance?
There's a couple of things left that we have to take care of. The Jeep is parked on parking paver strips. When the old officer came by, we had discussed that before. I have the trailer pulled up because the neighbor next to me has a huge stump that's fallen over to my driveway. They were supposed to correct so I can push it back and park there. That hasn't happened, so he said if you put parking pavers, make another runner, you can park there, won't be in the grass, will be fine for however long that takes. So I was not told I needed a permit to put down parking pavers, so that is a parking area under the Jeep. The Jeep has not been addressed yet.
Okay. Are there any
Make a
other
motion,
questions?
we accept the city's recommendation and non-compliance.
Second.
Mr. Robertson made the motion to accept. Mr. Gonzalez, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mrs. Curry, you have until the next cutoff, which is 6/2, June.
I'm not going to guarantee I can have everything done by 6/2. Can I have slightly longer than that?
To the board.
Can we amend the motion?
Yeah.
Well, why don't
You
we
didn't-
wait?
you already
Wait,
motioned.
we gotta vote on it. We
We've
gotta
already
vote
Vote
on
on
it.
it. You have to vote it. You can make an amendment to the motion.
Can,
You can make an
Yeah,
amendment to the motion.
right, I thought so. Yeah, I would like to amend the motion to grant her till the August, is it July? To the July, June, July, yeah, to the July cutoff, which would give her 60 days.
That's fine.
Now you have to see, will the will accept the motion as a friendly amendment?
yeah.
Or not?
I stand by my original.
Okay, then you need to make a motion. You need to vote on the amendment first.
Okay.
Okay.
Vote on Mr.
All in
Gonzalez's
favor?
motion first. Need a second on your minute.
Yeah. Do I have a second?
We need a second.
Well,
No?
I'll second.
Wait a
I
second.
mean,
Okay, you got it.
it's 6:30 would be the cutoff
Okay, now
instead
you
of
can vote on
6:02.
Mr. Gonzalez's motion.
Okay.
For the July cutoff, the cutoff
July
is
cutoff.
6:30.
6:30? Okay.
There's a motion on the floor for July 2nd. Is it the 2nd? What's the date?
No, it's June 30th
June
would be the
30th.
cutoff.
June 30th.
Okay.
Do I have a,
You have a motion, a second, now you all in
Okay.
favor.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Now you have to go back to the original motion as amended.
Well, how about opposed?
Oh, yeah,
just
opposed, yeah.
did.
All opposed?
Opposed, got opposed.
You're opposed to the second.
Okay, now we go back to the original motion as amended.
Okay. All in favor?
Mr. Harrington indicated as well, be opposed.
Oh,
You're,
Mr.
you're
Harrington.
on the 6:30 motion?
The amendment.
I'm for the original motion.
Okay, that's the one you're voting on now, right?
Original motion's been amended now.
It has
So
been
You're
amended.
opposed to the change.
Okay.
Then my,
He's opposed to the change.
Yeah.
Now the vote is on the original motion as amended,
So it's 4-2.
which is the July cutoff.
4-2.
But now you confused me.
Okay.
We
You,
were voting on the
no,
original.
the original motion was to, he made an amendment to make it from June to July.
Right. And
Okay, you just said, no, you said you'll stand by the, you would stand by the original motion,
which is,
which was not his motion.
Right.
It's yours is different.
so I should have voted yes.
No, it's okay.
The last time.
So now what happens is now, his motion was approved by the, it was voted and approved. Now you have a motion as amended now, this would just be a July cutoff date.
Right,
If you agree with the July cutoff date, you vote aye. If you don't agree with it, you vote nay.
okay.
Is that okay, Reckley?
Okay, which July would be
Everybody understand?
7.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you need a let's do a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Okay. And just for clarification, this is the amend to the June 30th.
Cutoff date.
Right, okay. So Mr. Reinhardt,
Aye.
Mr. Robinson,
This is the June cutoff date?
this is the June 30th,
Yes.
2021.
Aye.
Okay, good.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Roby.
Yes.
Mr. Harrington.
yes.
Ms. Himes.
Yes.
Got a little more time.
That
Thank
is
you.
5-0. 6-0, sorry.
Got a little more time.
Sorry.
She's got a little more time now.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so her date
All right.
is the,
You have to, June 30th,
30th.
2021.
I followed.
Can you please provide her the hearing date in case she's not in compliance by that?
June
July
30th is the cutoff date.
Correct.
Right.
And the hearing date is?
July 8th.
The
The
next.
hearing date is July the 8th.
Okay.
2021.
Okay.
right. You have to be in compliance by 6:30 on July 8th. is
Yes, ma'am.
the hearing date. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Okey-doke. Thank you
Done.
very
Thank you.
much.
The next case, case number 12 is 0521124, Melissa A. Casper. 820 North Oleander Avenue. Is Ms. Casper here? Okay, Mr. Yates.
All right, this case was opened on August 4th, 2020, and was a citizen's complaint. The notice of violation was issued on August 5th, 2020, for a missing rodent screen and broken area of stucco. They were first notified August 10th, 2020, and compliance was due September 21st, 2020. I've spoken with the owner multiple times. They've now fixed the rodent screen issue, and the only issue that remains is the broken stucco area. So I believe non-compliance with compliance due by the next cutoff, and I see no reason they can't get it done.
Okay, the chair will entertain a
I
motion.
move that we accept the city's recommendation to find this case in non-compliance and move it to the next cutoff.
I'll second.
I have a
Okay, it's
question.
been moved and second, moved by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Robinson, all in favor?
Make sure I'm on the
Madam
right
Aye.
page.
Chair, if I may just interrupt on one thing, and just for the sake of language, and I know the order's going to say it in the manner which we would normally say the order, but it's a finding of non-compliance and we want the compliance date to be
Okay.
a subsequent date.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Which
your
would
motion.
be-
Sounds good.
Okay. In other words, you want finding in non-compliance and compliance
Date of the
by,
cutoff date.
okay. Is
Yeah,
that
got it, everybody?
6/2?
That's what I
Yeah.
said, ain't it?
Yes,
We
ma'am.
need a little bit more than just city's recommendation.
Yeah, okay.
All in favor?
Wait, I have a question before we vote. I want to make sure we're on this, am I on this? This is 286 Hartford? Is that what we're talking?
820, no.
No, 820 North
20
Oleander.
North Oleander.
Okay,
Case number 12.
that's where the, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr., okay. All
You
in-
okay now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Case number 13, CEB 0521125, Donald G. and Audrey French,
That's in compliance.
Compliance.
in compliance.
May the 11th,
Compliance.
May
Okay.
11th, 2021.
Okay. Was in compliance 5/11/21.
Yes, ma'am.
Case number 14, Jamal Bell, 545 Spruce Street. Okay. Mr. Yates?
This case was opened on February 10th, 2020, and was field generated. The notice of violation was issued April 10th, 2020 for unpermitted window installation, outside storage, dilapidated fence, unfinished surfaces, no address numbers, dilapidated shed, and an unfinished area of stucco. They were first notified April 16th, 2020, and compliance was due May 28th, 2020. I've had contact with the owner, but no substantial progress has been made. I'd like to ask for a finding of noncompliance with compliance due by the next cutoff.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Robertson?
Second.
Second, Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. By 6-2, compliance by 6-2. Our next case, case number 15, CE 0521129, Sabrina Walker is in compliance as of 5/13/21. Case number 16, CEB 0521130, Robbie, Burke, and Reed.
Yeah, the people, gotcha.
Okay, and you are
I'm Wendy Burke.
Burke.
Wendy Burke,
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
raise your right hand, please.
Let's make, we'll just.
Do you solemnly
we'll
swear or
put the
affirm that the
information.
testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing
If
but
they
the
don't,
truth?
that's- what's in the order?
Ma'am.
Okay, please
They
speak
don't
into
know
the
that
mic
people
so
that hear.
we can hear you.
Okay, I
You can
got
hold
you.
down there.
Sorry.
Okay, Mr. Yates.
This case was opened April 21st, 2020, and was field generated. The notice of violation was issued April 21st, 2020 for the junk vehicle. They were first notified April 27th, 2020, and compliance was due June 8th, 2020. I've had no contact with the owner. Staff recommends non-compliance with compliance due by the next cutoff.
Mrs.
My husband had a lot of problems. He was in hospice. He's passed away. I am in process of selling the home and getting the vehicles moved out of there. The truck, the green truck that's right there, the Toyota, is already at another property. The Oldsmobile is insured and registered. There was just problems with the brakes and with the health problems that my husband had. Didn't have the time to fix it. I have someone coming to pick it up, even though it's insured and everything, and that will actually be gone on Friday, tomorrow morning. And I'm in the process of selling the home and cleaning everything up.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we accept the city's recommendation.
Hey, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Gonzalez, the city has brought to my attention, they're concerned about the motions because of the fact that we're not telling the people that are here need to come back if they're not in compliance. So my suggestion would be to go ahead and just add a little bit more to your motion. Now, we know the orders, when the orders are done, the orders are going to be fine, that's not a problem. But they're saying the people out there don't know what's going on by saying, take city's recommendation.
Okay.
They need to come back if they're not going to be here. They're not going to come into, they're not going to come into compliance. Need to be back here.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make
So
a
the-
motion, we accept the city's recommendation of non-compliance, compliance by the next.
And order the respondent to come into compliance.
Still second.
Thank you.
Is that something that I can just get in touch with you about when
Yes.
I'm compliant?
Please stay in
Yeah.
contact.
Okay.
Absolutely. As soon as you move the thing, just get the truck or the box truck, give me a call. We'll get you in compliance.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. So Mr. Robinson made a motion to find the respondent in noncompliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by the June 2nd, 2021 cutoff, or be returned to a future for consideration of the imposition of a fine.
Right.
Okay.
I know you're putting that in the order.
All in favor?
At least they like, the people here don't hear that, though.
Right. So you have until June the 2nd to bring it into compliance.
Okay. We get a vote all in favor?
We have, we
Let's get a
have
vote.
to vote. We got Mr.
Need a
Robinson
vote.
and
I
Mr.
said,
Gonzalez
all
is
in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Case 17, CEB 05211131, Ozell Knighton, and 13 others. Ms. Kirk?
Good morning. Sarah Kirk, Inspector with the City, credentials on file. This is a case I obtained October 13th of 2020. Code was called by the police department per a complaint of a resident at this residence. The complaint was for damaged interior surfaces, missing damaged electrical outlets, fixtures, missing insect screens, inoperable appliances, peeling paint, damaged windows, damaged gutter, missing smoke detectors. First notification was October 21st of 2020. I have had contact with one of the property owners. They are working to bring the property into compliance. The staff is recommending a finding of non-compliance with compliance by the next cutoff date.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
The chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date.
I will make a motion.
6/2. Okay,
I
Mr.
move that the respondent in case number CEB 0521-131 comes into compliance or be returned to the board at a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine up to $1,000 per day until compliance is achieved.
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved by Mr. Harrington, second by Mr. Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Case number 1705, 21131, Ozell Knighton Jr. Sorry, we just did that.
We just did that one.
Case number 18, CEB 05211132, Willie Wright Estates. Mr. Wright, okay.
Okay.
Ms. Kirk,
Thank you. This was also a case that I obtained from the police department about a code maintenance violation on December 2nd of 2020. A case was opened for inoperable vehicles, boats, outside storage, trash, and debris on a vacant lot. First notification to the owner was January 26th of 21. I re-inspected the property, and it's still in non-compliance. I've had no contact with the owners. Staff is requesting a finding of non-compliance with compliance by the next cutoff date.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Somebody said they seconded.
I did.
Made the
Mr.
motion, yeah.
Reinhardt.
Finish the motion.
Figured I'd jump in.
that's good.
I will find the respondent in case number CEB 0521-132 to come into compliance or be returned to the board at a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine up to $1,000 per day until compliance is achieved.
It's been moved.
I'll
and
second.
Mr. Reinhardt already seconded.
He's already seconded, yes. All in favor?
I want to be heard.
Aye.
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 Okay.
All right.
Case number 19, CEB 05211133, George Bell Estate. Okay.
State your name, please.
My name is Elvin Handy.
Alvin?
Elvin.
E-L-V-I.
Yes, ma'am.
And your relationship to Mr. Bell?
Uncle. I'm his nephew. He's deceased.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you have permission to speak here on his behalf?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms.
Thank you. This case was obtained on July 9th of 2020 per a complaint. Case was opened the same day for inoperable vehicles and other violations which no longer remain. All that's left is inoperable vehicles. First notification to the property owner was July 28th of 2020. I've had contact with Mr. Handy, regular contact, and he's working to bring the property to compliance. Staff is requesting a finding of noncompliance with compliance by the next cutoff date.
Okay. Mr. Handy?
First of all, I'd like to thank the panel for allowing me to speak. It's kind of new to me. But anyway, I am an essential worker for the County of Volusia, and I've been working diligently to try to resolve the issues, mainly the two vehicles. One of them is a vintage vehicle. It's an antique that I had given as a gift to my son in college. And due to the part availability, it's going to be considerably some time in getting that vehicle operable. The second vehicle, I am in the making of removing that as I speak. And I would like to convey that being an essential worker, my time is very limited on being home. And I'm trying to, as the time allow me to remove the vehicles, I would like to thank my job for allowing me to be here. But I need I would ask the board to give me a petition and an extension on time to allow me to rectify the situation with the antique car. Would the board allow me to keep that car, because I have it on a concrete slab, and as you see, it's covered, and it's a sentimental gift. My son, he really loves the car, and I would hate to get rid of it. But I am in the making of getting a second vehicle removed from the premises. And I'm working very, very, timely to have that taken care of.
Okay. Are
I'd
there
like
any
to ask you
questions
how much
from the
time
board?
you need.
Could the panel give me at least the August, if that's feasible?
Board, I think we need to consider that what we're here for is a finding of noncompliance. When they come back at the next hearing, then we can make a judgment on extending time. But I think right now, the proper thing is to find it in noncompliance.
It is.
And not start granting, we grant one person extensions at this, on this kind of a hearing, then we're opening up the can of worms. This is,
So what you're saying, Mr. Harris,
it's that this is
that we should
noncompliance,
find
and
in
then the gentleman can
noncompliance
come, when he comes back, if he isn't
And when he
done,
come
he can
back-
explain what he's done, and we'll just give him additional time at that point. That's the way we traditionally handled it.
Madam Chair, since I've been here, that's not the tradition that's been here. We've always considered and allowed, depending on the circumstance of the case, whether to extend or not to extend from a 30 to a 60 day.
No, that's
So
been
that's,
on the impost.
that's not unusual. No, what I've seen is that it's okay for some people, but it's not okay for others. That's what I've seen. So I want us to be consistent on how we're going to do this.
Are you thinking about when we impose a fine or?
No, I'm thinking about whether we find somebody in compliance or non-compliance, and the reality is within, even some of the inspectors have asked for extensions of time. The city has asked for it.
When we're at
So-
the opposing fine state, we.
No, no.
Yeah.
When we're
Just
doing,
did it two cases.
right, exactly.
That's
So-
why Mr. Harrington is making,
I'm making
Yeah.
exactly the point you're
And-
making. We need to
and-
be
And
consistent.
that's why I'm making my point, because I have the same right as he has to make the point.
Did anybody deny that? I don't recall denying that.
No, I agree, we should be consistent and find compliance or non-compliance and then next cutoff. And then the next cutoff, the person can explain their situation.
Okay.
And then we can extend it further at the next meeting, if that's my understanding.
Okay, is that a
Right.
motion?
If I may add to the discussion here, because we have even had this discussion before, where we agreed it didn't make sense that if it's obvious that somebody's not going to do it, be able to do it within 30 days, that we give them the 60 days. And we've even done 90 days. So I think we need to come to a conclusion and be consistent with it. I don't think that we need to change it up at certain points after we've been doing it.
Okay,
I'm not sure that you can, I mean, you mentioned earlier that you need to be, you need to evaluate case by case, and that really is true because some circumstances would require the extension of time and some wouldn't. For example, the case we heard earlier, they were going through the permitting process in the city. Our staff had communication with them about the problems, some of the problems that they've run into along the way, and it isn't a historical district, so we know there will be an extended amount of time to get through the steps and the processes for that. So versus something smaller like outside storage, for example, that's something that should be relatively be able to be resolved in a couple of days. So now giving somebody a 90-day window of time, for example, that's probably not reasonable from staff's perspective. So you've got to have some ability to have some discretion as a board to choose which gets extensions and which doesn't based on the circumstances and the facts. So I don't think you want to lock yourself in, but going back to what Mr. Harrington was talking about, the biggest thing to remember is today, the first time they're in front of you, the biggest thing is deciding whether they were in compliance or not in compliance. And then at that point, usually giving them one month to move forward from staff's perspective gives them a deadline to work towards, gets them motivated to move forward. And then if we need to come and ask for an extension because they've communicated with us or they need to come in and ask for an extension, that's typically what we do. We want compliance, not fines. So of course, if we can work to compliance, we're always going to work to compliance. Does that help in the conversation?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, Mr. Harrington, so you're saying, okay.
Madam Chair, like I reiterated, the second vehicle is a vintage antique vehicle, and the parts time frame is pretty slim. My mechanic is trying to find the parts, and that's why I petitioned to request an extension on the cutoff date. 'Cause it's a very good car, very good car.
Mr. Harrington, did someone put in a motion or?
No.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in noncompliance and order the respondents to come into compliance by 6/2. Cutoff date are to be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day or $10,000.
No motion?
Can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
Okay.
Motion.
Ms. Roby?
Toby made the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay.
You're on a second.
Mr. Reinhardt, second, Ms. Roby.
Do a roll call.
Roll call.
Let's do a roll call on that one.
Mr. Reinhardt?
I agree.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Nay.
Ms. Roby?
Yes.
Mr. Harrington?
Yes.
Ms. Himes?
Yes.
That's 5-1
Okay.
with Mr. Gonzalez dissenting. Motion will carry.
Mr. Handy, you have been given until 6/2 to come into compliance. If you have a problem, then you come back and get with her for
Okay.
an extension.
I will.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Case number 20, CEB 05211134, Charles and Elnora Dixon, as of 5/12/21 is in compliance. Case number 21, CEB 05211136, Herbert and Valerie K. Raymond. 301, okay.
Could you state your name and address, please?
My address here, or for the property, or where I
The
live?
property's fine.
Okay. Valerie Raymond, 301 Tarragona Way, Daytona, 32114.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll hear from Ms. Kirk first, please.
Okay. This case is about a large, healthy live oak tree that was removed. It's in violation of Article 6, Section 615C of the Land Development Code. As removal, according to the Land Development Code, a live oak that's diameter measures greater than 36 inches is considered historic. This tree was 40 inches diameter and a healthy tree. Removal of a healthy historic tree may be removed only if approved by the city commission, and mitigation must be provided. On March 17th, Inspector Butler and myself observed a tree service company working on the live oak. I stopped and asked. They said they were just trimming. But on March 23rd, I drove by, and it was removed.
Okay. Ms. Raymond?
First of all, I was not aware it was a historic tree, and we loved the tree, but it was causing so much damage. So on March 11th, and I have the receipts here, we did hire a contractor who is licensed and insured, as we were aware, and had cut other trees in our area, and asked him to trim trees, which I have the receipt here. The oak, I didn't even know what it was. I'm not a tree person, so sorry. We asked him to trim the trees, which has on here what he was going to do. On the 15th, once we trimmed the tree and saw all the damage that had done to the foundation of our foundation wall on the side of the house, as well as we have been working constantly because all the roots have went in our sewer lines, tore up our driveway, tore up our sprinkler system, and we have constantly been fixing that. We said, why don't we take it down? He said, okay. On the 15th, which I'd already paid for the 11th, but on the 15th, I have where he was agreeing to take that down. I was not aware I needed a permit. I live in Ohio. This is our vacation home. I'm not using an excuse, but I didn't know. Anything we have done on here, our contractors always pull the permits. We've never done anything that we haven't had a permit for. We just put a new fence up, and I think you'll see in the new pictures where you did. We got a permit for that. I'm having new windows put in June. The contractors are getting the permit. We've had a new roof put on. The permits were done. All the inspections were done. We were unaware that this was an issue until we received the letter. And then we contacted, I believe I talked to my husband, and it truly was, until the 15th, a trim job. I have never spoke to Sarah. I was there the whole week. She never said, hey, do you know this is a historic tree? Apparently she was on my property, took pictures, did stuff, never told me if she talked to the contractor. I have no idea what that conversation was.
I can explain. I drove by and I saw the tree service company working on the tree. I asked them, are you trimming or removing? They said trimming. So I moved on. The next time I drove by, the tree was completely hack-racked. That was on March 17th. I have a picture. So it was destroyed at that point, completely hat-racked. So it was destroyed. The next time I drove by, which was, excuse me, March 23rd, the tree service was back and they had removed it. It was a tree stump. They were loading the tree debris on the truck. So that's the only time I spoke was on March 17th was I asked them. The damage is already done. The proper channels were not followed. It should have been a permit application, and at that point, they would have said, listen, they would have went out to the property, measured the diameter, which John Cecil from the building department did after the fact, and said, this is greater than 36 inches, so you need to present it before the city commission to get approval to be removed. And then at that point, you would do that. But right now, it's too late for that. Your husband did admit that it was a healthy tree. 200 years old is what he stated. He knew it was a live oak. He stated that to me on the telephone. And
He was not here when this decision was made.
right, he did also
was
tell
not.
me that, but he knows about the tree.
And we loved the tree. It wasn't
Right,
a
he
point.
said that also.
Oh, he did. The shade was phenomenal. He
I
hates it.
have a question.
Raymond.
When you talk to the tree company, they know they have to get permits.
That's what I would assume. And I hired a licensed and insured person. Why would I not
Well,
assume
usually they will, because I know, I have dealt with enough tree people, they will come in and say, do you want me to pull a permit?
That was never, ever said to me. That's why we did not know until we got the letter in the mail,
Well,
yeah.
The thing is, if we as the board do impose a fine, you may have to go after the tree company and get your money back, because that is how it runs in the city of Daytona.
Well-
You have to get an arborist out there.
And since then, we have talked to a couple arborists. I mean, again, if I would have known in the beginning, I would have definitely did that. I mean, we've planted trees in our backyard. It's since we've lived there or had them for 13 years. I'm willing to plant more trees. I have a double lot. We have lost 4 trees during the last 2 hurricanes that have just missed our house. This is 10 feet from our house.
Okay,
I
Ms.
understand.
Raymond,
Sorry.
please,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Kirk, what is your recommendation?
Well, since the proper channels were not followed, the damage is already done. The staff is recommending a $1,000 fine and the staff is also recommending tree mitigation of at least one oak tree with a diameter of at least 2.5 inches with a frontage on either orange or tarragona in lieu of the tree that was removed. That's what the staff is recommending.
I'm sorry, what size tree did you say? Did you only one? Is that?
At least one. I mean, 2 would be
And I'm
nice.
fine, I'm fine.
Okay.
I mean, seriously, I'm very willing to do that. It was never to get rid of the tree because I didn't want a tree. It's the
Right.
damage it has done. And there's pictures of that.
Right. The building inspector, John Cecil, went out and he saw it was lifting pavers.
Concrete wall leaned back.
And that's fine, but at that point, it would still need to be brought before the commission for approval to remove it.
I do understand that now.
Okay.
I really, I mean, that was never our intent.
Because it was a
I
healthy
had to-
tree.
Again, healthy tree causing damage for us, and with losing the 4 trees we have, we were concerned, we were lucky they didn't hit our house. This one be
Ms.
next.
Raymond, again, we're here for.
I'm sorry.
Compliance and non-compliance.
Never done this before, sorry.
Well, actually, and that's what I came up for, Madam Chair, members of the board, you're actually here in this case for a determination of irreparable and irreversible in nature damage that's a violation that's irreparable and irreversible in nature, which pursuant to the statute would allow you to impose a fine or whatever reasonable sanctions. And as you have, I'm sure you're aware, a finding of irreparable, irreversible violation allows for a fine of up to $15,000. As the inspector stated, having talked with the permitting division, they feel it would be a reasonable resolution to only ask for a $1,000 fine and have a mitigation. Of course, this is a classic example of irreparable, irreversible findings. A tree of 200 years old that can't be replaced, it can't be corrected, it can't be fixed. We could plant another one, but we'll never get what that tree provided. And so, with that being said, we'll just ask for that finding and $1,000 fine and the mitigation as
What
was
mitigation looking
requested.
for, Tony?
I'll speak again. Let
I
Ms.
understand the fine part of it. What about the mitigation part of it?
Right. I'll let
Trees, she has.
Ms. Kirk speak to that.
The staff is recommending at least one oak tree be replanted
Okay.
with frontage on either there on the corner, so orange or Tarragona. This tree was removed from the orange side of the property.
Please provide the diameter as well, because that'll need to be in the order.
Okay, at least 2.5 inches in diameter, at least.
I'd like the
Does the
board.
board understand what they're in?
Yeah, I'd like the board to weigh in on what we think would be proper, both on the fine and the mitigation, before anyone makes a motion.
Yeah, I got questions for the city.
Okay.
From my perspective, the property owner did everything they were supposed to by like hiring a licensed and insured contractor to the best of their knowledge.
Okay.
Not to say the owner's off the hook completely, but isn't there some mechanism for the city to fine or go after this tree company?
Well, ultimately, we have to hold the property owner responsible. So this could be a civil dispute between the property owner and the tree company to recoup any losses from this hearing.
Right,
But
there's
ultimately,
no-
it's
you
the
know,
property owner's
There's no provision in
responsibility.
the code enforcement.
Huh?
There's no provision in the code enforcement law for the city to go after a contractor.
No, that's not.
Doesn't,
The
doesn't,
ultimate is the
I mean, she can,
homeowner.
but not as part of this board.
Yeah.
There's no part of like licensing where they're.
There is like,
licensed
yes,
comes
there
and
are,
stuff
there are,
every-
there are those specific, but not through this board.
But can the city, can this board notify the licensing of the, like their violations, so when it comes up for renewal, that's addressed?
That would be up to the city if they want to if they want to do that, that'd be up to the city to do that.
We don't.
We don't
I mean,
do
it
that.
seems like the contractor should be held responsible or,
But not
you
by
know,
us.
just
Yeah.
not have their license automatically renewed.
That's
Just
true,
by
but
the homeowner.
We don't have the
The board don't do
authority to.
Yeah, I know, but I'm asking if we can,
No, we can't.
No, we can't. It's.
That's why they have
it
a,
just seems like the city should have some kind of mechanism to hold contractors responsible when they do something wrong.
Lieutenant Lee,
I have some comments, but I need to be swore. I wasn't here at the beginning.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. There is a mechanism with general contractors, I'm not sure on this one, but just so you generally understand, there is a process where permits and licensing can engage and kind of assist in this. It's a very complicated process and it involves the county. It's not something in this scenario that would probably apply, because this is really just boils down to what they talked about. It's a civil disagreement between the person who hired the person to do the work and then just not making sure that they followed up on those things. It's not an uncommon occurrence, I guess. It's like, I guess anybody could kind of fall victim to this. You just got to be cognizant of when somebody says they're going to, you got to ask them, are you going to pull the permit? You got to verify they did that. It's just kind of things that we overlook because we trust that people who are licensed and insured are doing the right things. And in this scenario, it doesn't sound like that they did. Does that help at all?
Yeah, I just,
No, I understand where you're coming from.
Permits and licensing is very aware of this situation because Ms. Kirk has discussed it with them. Like she referenced Mr. Cecil, one of our building inspectors. So, you know, they're aware of the circumstances and the company that was involved.
yeah.
yeah. The bottom line is the city can't really do more.
No, the contract is between her and the tree guy.
yeah.
It's not between the city.
Yeah, but like, I don't disagree with that.
Well-
I'm just saying this, well, we're getting out of our territory.
Yeah.
That's
It's
more
a state
politics.
license
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a city.
Right,
license.
we feel your frustration, and even in the scenario that you're talking about, if they're not a Daytona-based business, we wouldn't even have any control over that, and that's quite often they might not be. They might be licensed or out of another city, you know, or they're operating after on a county license.
Yeah, according to him, and well, we looked at our licensing after all this has come about, because I assumed, because he'd had other neighbors, he was there. The notice was put on my door of the noncompliance of this afterwards. I don't know what the conversation ever happened with the contractor, and I understand, but if all there was a knock on the door and say, do you know? Or a sticker saying, do not cut this tree, it's historical, I would have been all over it. I mean, it's just I'm just asking,
I know.
I think at the time at which we observed where we knew it was a problem or a removal, the damage was already done.
Yeah.
And I take your criticism. I think Inspector Kirk also takes your criticism, and we will do our best to avoid that in the future. But at the point at which they acknowledged that it was a removal, the damage was already done.
Right, but then she could have said, stop. And I'm not
But
criticizing.
we would
I'm
still
just
be
saying
here
an opinion
today.
that would have helped me.
Right, I understand.
be
But
more
today we
aware.
would have been here today, even if they had stopped when it was hat racked.
Because they told her they were
Because
trimming.
they're
But it
right.
wouldn't
They told her
possibly
they
always
were
been-
trimming.
yeah,
There
yeah.
was nothing else.
Yeah,
I have a
I get
question
it.
for the owner. You mentioned something about the tree doing damage. What kind of damage you talking?
If you look at the picture, do they go up here? I do have some other pictures, but are almost just like hers. If you look right behind that, that's just part of the damage. There are, it is totally lifting up, there's concrete underneath there, and right
Yeah.
beside there, it looks all brown, but it's white now because we got a new fence. But that's a concrete wall. It has actually pushed it back 3 inches because the roots pushed it this
Yeah,
direction.
roots do that.
So it was causing a problem that the further those roots went, further the back
Right.
foundation wall, that's concrete, was going backwards, and it was
Right.
involved. In addition, there are humped up pictures, I have a few more here, that show the side driveway was totally coming up like, you couldn't park there and step out and it be level.
Right.
I mean, we've had people trip before because it is done now. As of today, this is a total stump. We had a stump removed. Okay, and I have that receipt here. And he even wrote, he had to go underneath there, and the roots were clear underneath the driveway, and had to pull the pavers up, which are upsetting. I have to go home and fix them now. But on the other side of the driveway is our sewer lines. Humongous roots were in there when we had to have them repaired because the backup in the sewer because of those tree roots. And that was like $2,500. So it is what it is. We love the tree, but it was just causing so much damage.
Yeah,
How
I
do we
think,
fix
I
that?
think we understand. I live,
That would have been all
And
stuff that the city would take in consideration when the.
And
When
reading
they
things
asked for the
now, yeah, I'm
permit.
seeing that. and
I
reading
mean,
things
I'm
now.
very compassionate with you. I have 5 trees on the side of my house, and they've already lifted up the sidewalk, and I had
Right, and
to
the city
replace
just put a
it.
new sidewalk there, I think, 3 years ago, and the roots were at that edge,
Yeah,
bubbling
so
at the
we
very
understand
edge.
that. What I would like each of us to weigh in on how we can fairly deal with this. I personally don't think $1,000 is necessary. I think some kind of a fine and then mitigation on the trees.
I would think the administrative costs.
We
I would think
know that
administrative
the
costs.
ultimate responsible person is the homeowner.
Right.
And the ignorance of it is not compelled here. The chair will entertain a motion to find the city's recommendation and the mitigation of the 2.5-inch tree replacement.
And also let's make as part of the motion that the action is irreparable, that the activity is irreparable and irreversible.
Okay, the actions
That
are.
allows you to go past the 250, 500,000 and order mitigation.
Okay, that are reversed.
Yeah, I'll try it.
Get a motion? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Gonzalez,
I would like to make a motion that in the case of CEB 0521136, that we find that the damage that was done is irreparable and irreversible. And I would offer that the homeowner pay whatever administrative fees were involved for the city's expenses.
You need to figure,
And-
you need to figure, you gotta come up with, you need to figure, just say what the fees.
Well, I'll say $500
Okay, $500.
instead of the $1,000, $500.
Fine.
And that they plant a tree, an oak tree of 2.5-inch diameter to be completed by our next cutoff date, which is June
Second.
2nd. And that's the motion.
I'll second. Does that meet
Mr. Harrison.
everything that needs to be done?
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Harrington, all in favor?
Aye.
We get a roll call.
Yet, do we need a finding of noncompliance as well?
We need to find, yes, we do.
Yes?
Okay,
That's
Need to add that to the motion.
okay.
Non-compliance, irreversible, irreparable, $500 and one tree. 2.5 inches.
$500. Isn't that what you said?
Yes, 500.
Okay, right? And then plant a tree minimum of 2.5 inches in diameter.
Right.
Oh, okay. So we'll do a roll call. Mr. Reinhardt,
Agreed.
Mr. Robinson,
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Ms. Roby,
Yes.
Mr. Harrington,
Yes.
Ms. Himes.
nay.
6-0.
Okay, it has been approved for a $500 fine.
Do I call you when I get the tree back?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, case number 22, Cheryl D. Miller and Raymond and Robert Miller, case 0521137, 541 Cedar Street.
Good morning.
Pull that microphone up a bit for you and state your name, please.
Victor Ingram?
Victor,
Yes.
last name,
Ingram, Ingram,
and your relationship to,
caretaker of the property?
and do you have their permission to speak on their behalf?
Yes, I do.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now here for Mrs. Kurt.
Okay, thank you. This case is a field-generated case that was opened October 23rd of 2019. The case was for unpermitted fencing, damaged interior and exterior surfaces, outside storage, rubbish, garbage, inoperable storage of a refrigerator, and propane cylinders that were stored improperly, deteriorated floors, and interior landing is deteriorating, and missing door hardware. First notification was December 18th of 2019. I've had really no contact other than from Mr. Victor here just recently. Staff is requesting a finding of noncompliance with the compliance date of the next cutoff.
Okay, the property is, we don't, nobody's living in it. We use it only for meetings. I'm a member of the Sun Chaser Motorcycle Club, and we do community service. You know, we feed the homeless. We do bike giveaways, and we assist the city in book bag giveaways. That's what we do. So I'm asking for at least 60 days to bring it in compliance. And a lot of stuff these are old pictures, and a lot of stuff is done already. We're maybe about 65% done with the things that need to be taken care of. But again, I'm asking for 60 days to get it, to bring it into compliance.
Are there any questions from the board?
Yeah, I'd like to verify the first notification was December 17th of 2019.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to verify with the inspector.
Yeah, that's what's on our paper.
Yeah, I know, but I want to verify it.
What's that? I'm sorry, excuse me?
The original notice was 12/17/19. Is that correct?
The first notification to the owner was 12/18 of 2019.
18, okay.
12/18/2019. Okay. Okay.
So then my question, Mr. Victor, is it?
Yes, sir.
Is, well, what's taking so long?
Well, again, we're not in the building full-time, and I wasn't aware of all the violations. Just recently, I became fully aware, and we are taking care of it as we speak.
I'll make a motion that we accept the city's recommendation of non-compliance and to be in compliance by the next cutoff.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Robinson, second by Mr. Gonzalez.
Will return to the city to fine of up to $1,000.
Or return to the city for up to $1,000 per day. That's so
Yep.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Victor, you have until next cutoff to take care of that. If anything come up, you come back and let us know.
And what date is that again?
June 2nd.
June 2nd?
The next meeting will be the 10th,
All right.
Yeah,
but stay in touch with Ms.
yeah,
Kurt.
thank you. But keep in touch with Ms. Curd, please.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next case is case number 23-505-21138, Jacqueline E. Whitfield, 627 Fremont.
610.
Mr. Stinson.
Good morning. My name is John Stinson, Code Inspector with the City. My qualifications are on file. This case was field generated for peeling paint in a damaged roof. The notice of violation was received on 6 February 2021. I've had contact with a property relative and the property owner. In fact, I spoke with her this morning. Again, I was out on the property yesterday. They are working on it. The roof is being repaired as we speak, and the city's asking for compliance by the next cutoff.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we accept the city's recommendation of non-compliance and compliance by the next cutoff.
Second.
Or close the fine.
Okay. Or a fine can be imposed up to $1,000 per day. Okay, all in favor, Mr. Robinson, and second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Case number CEB 05-21139, Susan Underis Cox, 1222 Midway Boulevard. Okay, Mr. Stinson.
Yes, this case was portal generated for the damaged roof and the junk vehicle. The junk vehicle issue was resolved. The property was posted on 26 February of this year. There's been no contact with the property owner. The compliance was due on 26 March. The last reinspection of the property was performed yesterday. The property remains in noncompliance. We're asking for an order of noncompliance, and the property will be brought in compliance by the next cutoff.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to find a respondent in non-compliance in order the respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff of 6/2 or be returned to the board for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day.
So moved.
So, Mr. Robinson and Ms. Roberson second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, okay. Case number 25, CEB 05-21142, Michael Malik, 1208 Sunland Road. Mr. Stinson.
Good morning. This case was field generated for unmaintained landscaping and a damaged roof. The notice was received by the property owner on 20 February 2021. Compliance was due on 25 March 2021. There's been no contact with this property owner. The only progress made is that some of the landscaping has been addressed. All other violations still remain. The last reinspection was performed yesterday, and we're asking for an order of non-compliance, compliance by the next cutoff.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to find the respondent in noncompliance, order the respondent to come into compliance by June 2nd, or be returned to the board for a consideration of a fine up to $1,000 a day.
Excuse me,
Mr. Robinson?
did you say $20,000?
No, 1,000.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard that.
Mr. Reinhardt, second? Yes. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Case number 26, CEB 0521143, Gracie Batts, 931 Vernon Street. Okay. Mr. Stinson.
Okay. This case began by using the rule of 6. They were cited for outside storage of junk and debris. Their notice was received on 1 February of this year. The compliance date was 22 of February of this year. I've had sporadic contact with the property owner. The last contact was actually this morning. Last inspection of the property was performed yesterday. Property remains in non-compliance. We're asking for an order of non-compliance and compliance by the next cutoff.
Okay, any questions? The chair will entertain a motion to find the respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff date of June 2nd, or be returned to the board for a consideration of a fine up to $1,000.
So moved.
Mr. Robertson, Mr. Reinhardt. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, who was your second?
Mr. Reinhardt.
You're gonna have to speak up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Reinhardt. Case number 27, CEB 0521144, Diane Kimball at 1308 Sunland Road. Mr. Stinson.
Okay, this case came to me as a citizen's complaint of a vacant structure, outside storage, exterior walls, gutters, downspout, damaged garage door. Notice of violation was posted on the property on 5 February of this year. There's been no contact with the owner. Compliance was due on 26 February of this year. Multiple re-inspections. The last re-inspection was performed yesterday. Property remains in non-compliance. We're asking an order of non-compliance and compliance by the next cutoff.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we accept the city's recommendation and non-compliance with compliance by the next cutoff, or be returned for up to $1,000 day fine.
Okay.
Second.
Ms. Robertson, second. Mr. Robertson, motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Case number 28, CEB 0521147, Stephen Mullen, compliance 5421. Case number 29, CEB 0521149, LJ Freeman at 1412 Edgewater Road. Mr. Freeman. Mr. Stinson.
Good morning. This case was field generated for parking, junk vehicle, and damaged roof. The notice was received by the property owner on 15 February. I'm sorry, it was posted on 15 February. There's been no contact with the property owner. Compliance was due on 11 March 2021. Multiple re-inspections, the last being yesterday. The property remains in non-compliance. We're asking for an order of non-compliance and compliance by the next cutoff.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to find the respondent in non-compliance or order the respondent to come into compliance by June 2nd, the next cutoff date, or be returned to the board for a consideration of a fine of $1,000.
So moved.
So moved.
Madam Chair, just clarification on on that announcement that it's up to $1,000 per day?
Per day,
day.
yeah. That's-
Per day.
Okay, per day. Mr. Roberson and Mr. Gonzalez, second, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
All in favor.
Thanks.
Case number 30, Levita Gainey of 925 Redwood Street. Ms. Gainey? Oh, Zoom.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Okay, yes.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair to the board, my name is Leonard Gainey. I'm related to Latavia Gainey. I'm her father. I have 45 years of building construction. I'm retired, and I'm here to represent her if the board would give me the okay.
Yes, sir. Are you an attorney, sir?
I'm her father.
Okay, that works.
That's more than a
I
attorney.
need you,
On the-
and you have your daughter there as well, right?
On 30.
Yes, ma'am.
Raise your hand, right hand, please.
Yes,
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I affirm I do.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Thank you.
We will now hear from Mr. Stinson first. Mr. Gainey.
Okay, this case was complaint-driven. The notice of violation was received on 29 October 2019. They were cited for abandoned property, outside storage, landscaping, sidewalks, driveway, peeling paint, exterior walls, roof screens, no water in an occupied structure, damaged porch, windows, doors, and fencing. Compliance was due on 2 December 2019. There have been multiple re-inspections, the last re-inspection being yesterday. There's been a partial demolition of the carport that occurred on 23 February of 2020. Since then, there has been no further progress. There have been permits applied for and approved for a new roof. Other than that, there's been no other progress. City's recommendation is finding them non-compliance in compliance by the next cutoff.
Okay. Mr. Gainey.
Yes, Madam Chair to the board, do we have any architects or general contractors on the board?
No, not for today, because today is simple compliance and non-compliance.
Okay, Madam, I would like to say that Latavia will be comply and come up to compliance by the next meeting that you have. And I also would like to say that Mr. Stinson gave me a hard time. I set up a meeting to meet him on the premises, and he had demolition all over the property. And when my daughter was contacted that she needed to comply with the city of Daytona, I immediately set up an appointment with him. And when I met him that morning, I saw the demolition and all this type of stuff, flag, and I went immediately to the building department. He called up ahead and told them not to give me a building permit to work on that structure. So what I did, I took a step further. I went to the city council office and I talked with Miss Betty Goodman, and we had a meeting with the neighborhood. There was a lady over the neighborhood, Mr. John Caesar, and also that she contacted the building inspector, and they noted me that go ahead and apply to do the repairs on this structure. And they told me that what I needed to do at the appointed time, because of the pandemic and because we was in an uproar in America because of this pandemic, this COVID-19, and I'm about 62 years old, and I'm making no excuse because Mr. Stinson is right about this building coming up to a compliance with the city of Daytona. So the chief building inspector and Ms. Goodman and the neighborhood, the lady was over that, and Melissa Carter was doing the permit technician. But anyway, all of them came to agreement that at the present time, since we was in a pandemic, to demolish the garage and remove the debris, and I put the numbers on the building so that you'll know the address. And I did that. So Mr. Stinson called me about a month ago, and he yelled at me and hollered at me, and we're going to have a hearing. And I said, Mr. Stinson, cool down a little bit. I said, now you knew that I've been doing my best to comply with the city of Daytona, but because of this pandemic. And so what I did, I went on and I applied for a roof permit, and then I tried to get a permit to redo the porch, which the compliance that I need to bring up is just minor compliance. But I will have them up to date by your next meeting. But I'm also doing I know you're not here for that, but I'd like to say to Mr. Stinson, you make it hard for poor people, and you make it hard for people that don't know the law, and you shouldn't do that. Madam Chair, I believe my talk at this time, and I ask the board to give me until your next meeting, and I will bring this into compliance because the city manager office and the chief building inspector did give me the time during the pandemic to work with this project. Thank you very much. God
Okay,
bless.
thank you. Thank you too, Mr. Gainey.
I'd like to make a-
Mr. Simpson, the recommendation was?
Have the property in compliance by the next cutoff.
I'd like to make a motion. The first place, this has been going on for a year before the pandemic. This is goes to 2019, so let's face reality there. My motion is to find the respondent case number 0521151 to come into compliance or be returned to the board at a subsequent meeting for consideration of a fine up to $1,000 per day until compliance is achieved. The subsequent meeting is next cutoff.
It's June 2nd.
I'm not sure, did you state find them in
Miss-
non-compliance?
Right, yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yes, I said.
Yes, it said
No, you said compliance.
non-compliant.
You didn't say non-compliant.
I heard none, okay.
I heard non,
Okay.
Anyway,
I didn't hear
and,
non-compliant.
If I said it wrong, I
And-
meant non-compliance.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Harrington?
Thank you very much,
and
Mr. Harrington.
Robinson, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me, ma'am. Mr. Gainey, you have
Yes,
until
ma'am.
next cutoff, and thank
Okay,
you
thank
so
you very
very
much.
much.
I'm quite sure that we'll bring it up to date, but my daughter was pregnant at the time, and when she first got the notice, I responded because Mr. Stinson was right about the violation, and thank you for the standing that we'll bring it up under compliance. The reason why I actually did you have any general contractors or architect there because the porch need to be fixed and painting the structure, stuff like that. But on the windows, we are planning on renovating the whole house. And I was wanted to block up the windows because if I put air conditioning in there, then I won't need the screens at the window.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gainey. Okay, it has been moved. You have until June 2nd to come into compliance. And
Thank you, Mr.
so
Stinson.
much.
Thank you to the board, Madam Chair. God bless the United States of America.
Thank you. Case number 31, CEB 0521153. Bakari Cooper.
That's in compliance, Madam Chair?
Pardon?
Compliance.
Yes. Yes. Okay, I missed that. Compliance, okay. 512. Case number 32, 0521154, Margaret R. Lowe of 935 Vernon Street. Ms. Lowe? Okay. Mr. Stinson?
Good morning. This case was generated using.
Excuse me, is
Oh.
this Ms. Lowe?
Okay.
Okay.
Just step up to the microphone. Could you state your name, please?
Margaret R. Lowe.
Okay. And are you also going to testify, or did you just? Yes. Okay, and your name is?
Sabrina Lowe.
Spell your first name.
S-A-G-I-N-A.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Lowe, we're here for Mr. Stinson first. Give us-
Okay.
Case number 32. Case number 32.
Okay, this case began using the rule of six. Property owner was cited for junk vehicle exterior staining and damaged roof. Since then, excuse me, the notice of violation was received 29 January of this month. Of this year. Since then, the junk vehicle has been removed. The exterior staining has also been corrected. The only thing left to do now is repairing the roof. I've had contact with the property owner. The compliance was due 22 February of this year. My last reinspection of the property was performed yesterday. The property remains in non-compliance. We'd like an order of non-compliance in compliance by next cutoff.
Okay. Ms. Lowe, would you like to say anything?
Yes. The reason why nothing has been done to the roof is because of the fact I'm planning on tearing the house down and building again. I've already contacted a contractor. I have my plans here in the bag for the house. I'm working with Mr. Mike Thomas from Regis Bank, and also my contractor is Mr. Fretwell. I've gotten all these things in the play right now.
Okay.
And also Mr. Weiss, GV Weiss, he is gonna come and give an assessment to bring the temporary fixing on the roofing until the demolition.
Okay, you're saying that Mr. White is gonna temporarily fix the roof until?
Yeah, he'll be doing an assessment to bring the roof up to code temporarily until she has it, after demolition of the home.
Okay, and your recommendation was?
That is probably going to have to be discussed at a later time after his hearing, but we still would like that order of non-compliance, compliance by next cutoff.
Okay. Okay, so, right, at this meeting is for a motion of compliance to non-compliance, okay? The chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by the next cutoff, which is June 2nd, or be returned to the board for up to $1,000 per day fine.
Okay.
Or if anything go wrong, you stay in touch with Mr.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Mr. Robinson?
Second.
Mr. Gonzalez, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Ms. Lowe, stay in touch with him.
Okay.
Let him know, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Case number 33, Leopolian Jenkins, 924 Laura.
State your name, please.
Lee Jenkins, 924 Laura Street, Daytona Beach, Florida.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Stinson?
This case began using the rule of 6. Property owner was cited for a damaged roof. The property was posted on 5 March of this year. I've had an email conversation with the property owner and 1 phone call with the property owner. Compliance was due on 2 April of this year. There's been 4 re-inspections, the last being yesterday. The property remains in non-compliance. We'd like an order of non-compliance and compliance by the next cutoff.
Okay. Mr. Lee, Mr. Jenkins?
Yes, I am in the process of having the roof replaced, completely replaced. I contacted Home Advisor. They're helping me through the process. This began in March. I was a little concerned about the time frame as far as the actual work on the roof, so I called them about 2 weeks ago. So they affirmed that my roof replacement project would start by mid-May or late May. So
Okay.
I'm waiting on that. I've already paid my upfront fees and paperwork is being done.
Okay. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the city's recommendation of non-compliance and compliance by the next cutoff.
Second.
With of June 2nd, or return to the board.
For up to $1,000 a day fine.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Robinson, first, Mr. Gonzalez, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Jenkins, you have until the 2nd of June next month, but keep in touch with Mr. Simpson
All right.
and let him know what's going on. Thank you so much. Case number 052115 7, Michael Alvarez, at 622 Clark Street. Ms. okay.
State your name, please.
Michael Alvarez.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Stinson.
Good morning. This case began, it was complaint driven for dilapidated structure. Mr. Alvarez is the new owner, noticed on 20 August 2018. I contacted this owner on 21 March 2021. He advised that he was still working on the project. The compliance was due 13 September 2018. There's been multiple re-inspections of this property, the last being yesterday. Property remains in non-compliance. We're asking an order of non-compliance and compliance by the next cutoff.
Okay. Mr. Alvarez, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, we're working on it, ma'am. Yeah, I got 3 guys over there. That's an old picture there. Yeah, that's updated. We painted it all upstairs now. We're working on the sides for painting. We're getting there.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to find respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by June 2nd, or be returned to the board for a consideration of up to $1,000 a day.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Robertson, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Alvarez, you have until June 2nd to come into compliance.
Okay, I'll be
Please stay in
talking to
touch with Mr. Stinson. Case number 35, CEB 05-21158, Wendy J. Morris Trust, 940 Valencia Avenue. Ms. Morris? Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I sure can.
Okay. We'll hear from Mr. Stinson first.
Hold on, we need to swear her in.
Oh, Ms. Morris?
Oh, I see her over there.
Yeah, she's over there.
Can you state your name, please?
Yes, it's Wendy Morse.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Stinson?
Good morning. This case began using the rule of 6. The notice of violations was issued and received on 3 February 2021. I've had good contact with this property owner throughout the case. The compliance date was 3 March 2021. There's been multiple re-inspections, the last being yesterday. The property does remain in non-compliance. There's an active permit also on the property, so there is ongoing construction on the property as well. The city is asking for an order of non-compliance and compliance by the next cutoff.
Okay. Ms. Morris, do you?
Yes, thank you so much. So it's nice to meet you, Inspector Stinson, and we've spoken multiple times. It is full. We bought this house in 2017. If you'd like, I could share a picture of what it looked like when we bought it. There was a tarp on the roof. It was pretty much a disaster, which we knew when we bought. So we have. It's under renovation. It's taking us much, much, much longer than we would have liked. And as I heard one of the previous people talking, we've had multiple people do all the wrong things and had to redo everything ourselves. So as a result of that, I had a conversation with Inspector Stinson, and my understanding was we could finish the permit process, meaning the construction, the renovation, and then we could work on the fence after, which was fully our intention. When I got this notice of hearing, I was surprised because I thought this is what we were doing. We were finishing the process first of the project of the house. So as a result, I would ask for an extension of time. I have contacted a couple fence companies. One of them did not call me back. The other one is coming for an estimate on June 15th. So I would ask for an extension into, I would say, September by the time they will be able to actually do the work.
Okay.
And I would like to add, we fully intend to make it as, we were going to do the fence anyway. We want to make it as nice as possible. And we've taken a 1920 house and it will be good for another 100 years. We've redone everything, the roof, the plumbing, the exterior, the electrical. We have redone this entire house. And so it will stand for another 100 years, which I'm pleased about. It's just taking us time, and we plan on making it very, very pleasant from the street.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to find the respondent in noncompliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by June 2nd, the next cutoff, or be returned to the board for a fine.
So I'd like to ask for an
Consideration of a fine up to $1,000 per day.
So moved.
I'd like an extension of time, please.
Okay. All in favor?
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'm asking, I was asking for an extension of time.
Okay, but what we're saying here, Ms. Morris, is you have until next, which is June 2nd. You can come in then or like you're doing now and get an extension if things are not done.
Okay, so I already know it cannot be done by then.
Okay.
Could I ask for an extension of time?
Just stay in touch with Mr. Stenson and then let him know.
Okay, but.
And you can get the extension of time then.
Okay, but we already know we need it. The party that.
I know, but today is just a compliance or non-compliance.
Okay, but the party with the attorney that was able to get the extension of time, how do I accomplish that?
To get an attorney to,
Ma'am.
Hold on. Anybody would like to give her the extension? There is a motion. If not, it'll die for lack of a motion.
I didn't understand
there
what
was
you
no
just
way,
said.
we passed.
He said, do you want to make a new motion to give her longer?
No.
No.
Nobody.
No.
Okay, that's what you have to do, Ms. Morris. Just contact him or on the 2nd of June, come back, a video back and let us know that you need time.
Right.
Okay, can I ask why there was an extension of time given in a previous case?
The board has made their decision, and the decision is made. They've offered an opportunity for somebody to reconsider the motion and the decision, and they have not reconsidered it. So we're going to have to move on to the next case. But I would like to tell you that your case, if it's revolving just around the fence, it's quite possible just the removal of the fence might get you in compliance before the next cutoff, and you can deal with the replacement down the road. But that's something you just need to discuss with the inspector behind the scenes.
Okay, all right.
Did you hear that?
Yes, I did. I
Thank
did.
you. Thank you. 6-2.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Roby is no longer here.
We could take it 5 minutes.
Yes.
Mr. Harrington is
Mrs.
leaving.
Take it 5 minutes.
We have 4. Yeah, we've got a quorum. Good. We're good.
Okay.
I believe staff would appreciate a very short break as well.
Really.
Okay.
We've got a break.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to take a short break, and then
We're taking a break.
You're close. You're around 37. We're around 38 now, so we're close.
Okay, we now have case number 36, CEB 0521159, Laura Herson Trust. Compliance 5/12/21. Case number 37, CEB 042199, Doris L. Miles Estate, compliance 5/12/24. Case number 38, CEB 04211100, Francina Green, 821 Lewis Drive.
That's, yeah. No responded.
Francina Green. Mr. Stinson.
Good morning. John Stinson, Code Inspector with the City. My qualifications are on file. This case began using a code walk. The notice of violation was issued on 13 March 2020. It was received on 18 March 2020. Violations were outside storage, landscaping, parking in the yard, damaged driveway, damaged fencing, peeling paint, damaged roof, damaged light fixtures, and damaged exterior walls. Compliance was due on 15 April 2020. There's been multiple re-inspections of the property. Currently, the property remains in non-compliance. City is asking for an order of non-compliance compliance by the next cutoff. One note to mention is that this property is enrolled in the program for a rebuild by the city.
This case is here for the imposition of a fine.
Is it? Oop, so sorry. Wrong script. Oh, wrong script. I'm sorry.
So
The only difference has changed is
we've
that
been
instead of
doing,
the compliance date.
and these things we've been extending and extending, haven't we?
That
But
is up to your discretion.
With this
I
one
mean,
last month,
We have
you're
been extending.
yeah.
Well, we just talked
Just
about
impose
not
a fine.
extending. That was a conversation we had a little while ago.
But in this particular case, we are here for the imposition of a fine. I just misspoke.
Okay.
And I'm asking for $100 per day to be capped at $10K.
Now, you said it's a program. Is it the city program, the county program? Which program? are
It
you
is
talking
the,
about?
it is the city program. The city rebuild with development services.
Do we have any feedback from the program as to the actions of the respondent?
I've spoken to the program director, Paula Long. She advises that all of the issues on the property that can be addressed without the actual rebuilding of the structure needs to be addressed by the property owner. Whatever decision is made here will not have an adverse effect on their ability to get the assistance from the city.
I have a question. I'm sorry, I think I missed it, but you've been in contact with the property owner?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And if we impose a fine, there's nothing to say that they can't come back for a lien review and
That's correct.
all that, right? So I make a motion that we accept the city's,
Impose,
I'm sorry?
okay, you go.
I make a motion, we accept the city's recommendation of imposing the fine.
Okay.
Second.
How much is the fine?
Said $100.
The motion
Yes.
to impose a
Continue to
fine of
fines achieved.
$100 per day, beginning today, May
Up to,
That's correct.
13.
Beginning today.
up to a
Okay.
maximum of 10,000?
Correct. Maximum of
up
10,000.
until, okay, 10,000. This is case number CEB 022111100, Francina Green,
Continue until compliance is achieved.
until compliance is achieved. That was also all in favor?
I need a second. Mr. Robinson was the,
I second.
They
I'm
said-
sorry,
Mr.
did
Gonzalez
we-
seconded.
Okay.
Okay. Did we vote?
Okay, case number 39, CEB 022116, Edward Zoner, 630 Tucker Street. Mr. Reckenzone.
This property is here for a finding of, for a fine. I've met the property owner's brother on location. He said he was trying to bring the property into compliance. Every time I go out to the property, there's new people on the property in the front yard. As of right now, everything is in compliance except the windows permit needs to be finalized. What they're going to do with those windows, they have trellis up there right now. The city's requesting a fine of $100 per day up to $10,000.
Okay. We have case number CEB 022116, Edward Zoner at 630 Tucker Street. Motion to impose a fine of $100 per day, beginning today,
So-
to $10,000 until compliance is achieved. Give
So
me a
moved.
minute on this.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, case number 40, CEB 042194, Theo Cox, 508 Model Street.
Speak into the microphone and state your name, please.
Theo Cox.
Raise your right hand. Right hand.
Oh.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Baptiste.
Inspector Baptiste with City of Daytona. Credentials on file. This is for imposition of fine. Yesterday, I went on the site to take a look at the progress, actually to see if property was in compliance. I met with the gentleman on site, Mr. Cox, and he is in the process of trying to solve some of the issue with the violations. So at this time, we would amend this case till next cutoff, just to give him some time to get it done.
Okay. Would you like to say anything, Mr. Cox?
No, ma'am, I'm working as hard as I can.
Okay.
I move that we
I have a question for the inspector. Do you think it's doable between now and the next cutoff?
Some of the work that's being done, the property, it looks a lot better than it did previously. So some of the work that is being done, he will have to get a permit. And for example, there is a tarp on the roof, so I'm not sure if there is a roof leak or if there is more damage, so he's gonna have to look into that. But the fact that he's working on it, yesterday when I went out there, I saw him doing the best that he can and making sure the trash was removed. Previously, there was trash everywhere. The landscaping is being done a tiny bit. So he's working on it. So to say that by next cutoff he will be done, I'm not sure. That's up to him to inform us.
Okay, thank you.
Because I might need an extension on it. But otherwise, when I leave here, I'm going to finish up the windows and then make a process on getting the roof done.
Okay.
So if it's possible, I'd like to see about getting an extension if I have to.
Is there,
Okay.
Mr. Harris?
move to the next cutoff, case number CEB 042194.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Mr. Heritage, second by Mr. Reinhardt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Mr. Cox, you have until the next cutoff to complete that.
Thank you.
And stay in touch with Mr. Baptiste,
Yeah, I
please.
will. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, case number 41, CEB 1120223, Larry Cheney and Penelope Bennett. Case compliance 51021. Case number 42, CEB 022115, Lavera Anthony. Lavert Anthony, 1649 Cedar Highland Boulevard. Ms. Anthony.
I'm Kimberly Anthony, her daughter.
Kimberly,
Okay.
raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, we're now here from Mr. Butler.
Good morning. Inspector Roosevelt Butler, credentials on file with the City of Daytona Beach. Since the last month hearing, I conducted a reinspection on May 10th, 2021. Result of my reinspection was non-compliance. Now, I've had several contacts with the property owner here, and I've reached out to the Volusia County Bar Association, where I made contact with Ms. Kathy Sullivan, whom is willing to assist us with this probate issue. At this point, I'm in the process of drafting a letter to send to her, And from that point, we're hoping that that will assist us with the process of getting an attorney to assist her with a probate issue.
And just as a reminder to the board, she was unable to pull the permit, right, until
That's
she
correct.
can resolve
I wouldn't
the
pay it, and I
issue
couldn't
of
pay it, 'cause it's
probate.
in my mom's name, so they won't let me pay it.
Yes.
Question, since you're working with the court?
Yes,
the
sir.
probate, because the court can appoint an administrator for the,
That
For the
is
case.
that's what we're in the process of trying to
Yeah,
do.
it's not that far in the sense that it's, they don't have any counsel right now. I guess that's what we're trying to see if that there may be some pro bono counsel or counsel that they could assist them because of the nature of what this is. And so at this point, it's really in limbo. Either we would be asking for a fine or seeing if we can find some way to help her out, and the efforts of the staff has been to try and find ways to help them get to the next stage.
because I've been involved with
So,
several
Mr.
probate cases, and the court can appoint, if they don't have an attorney, they can appoint an administrator.
So, Mr. Butler, your recommendation is?
My recommendation is to amend to the July cutoff due to the nature of the circumstances.
Yeah, okay.
I'll make a motion, we accept the city's recommendation.
I'll second.
Second,
Mr.
okay.
Robertson, Mr. Reinhardt, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Miss, you're not Miss Anthony, but you have until July 2nd.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
June 30th.
June
is
30th
the
is the
July
cutoff.
What did you ask for?
July cutoff.
Okay, the
Oh.
July cutoff is June 30th, 2021.
Okay,
The meeting's early then,
okay.
and the meeting date will be July 8th.
The date you would have to return would be the 8th, but stay in touch with Mr. Butler. Okay. Case number 43, CEB 1120203, Young Burgess and Michael Lewis.
State your name, oh,
Michael Lewis.
Okay, 215 North Oleander. Okay, Mr.
I do.
Lewis?
do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Lewis, we're going to hear from Mr. Yates first.
All right, since the last hearing, I have had communications with the new owners, but I've had no progress and no permits have been pulled at this point. I'd like to ask for $100 a day to a maximum of $15,000.
Okay. Mr. Lewis?
I've owned the property for a month and a half now. I had no clue whatsoever that any of this was taking place to begin with. We're in and out of town a lot. There was a certified letter that I had my wife go to pick up. The letter was gone by the time we went to pick it up. I got another piece of mail. I've been in contact with Mr. Yates here. It's going to be at least 6 months before the project is completed. The house is a total nightmare. I bought it to restore it, and we hope to bring it back to its former glory and live in it as our future home. $100 a day is absolutely, I'm shocked at this whole deal. I walked into this blind, and I had absolutely no clue that the prior tenants weren't in compliance with the board, with you guys. So at this point, I'm asking for, we're looking for windows. We're going to do windows, doors, electrical, plumbing. We've got a lot of stuff. And as you folks probably know, when you go to pull a permit, you have to have all the Florida approval numbers on everything that you're doing up front and in line. So we're working towards getting the FPL numbers to where we can move forward and pull a permit. We're going to do the roof, we're going to do the sidewalks, we're going to do the fencing. This is going to be a total rehab, and there's absolutely no way it's going to be done within the next, I'm going to say 6 months, to be honest.
How did you acquire the property?
I just purchased it. It wasn't even on, it wasn't.
Did the prior property owner tell you about the violation?
I never met the property owner.
Because the law requires that the prior property owner advise you, code violation.
I never met the property owner.
Did you look at the property?
We looked at the property, yes.
Is this have you ever done these before?
I have not. We want to move into it.
Okay, when you went in there, did you see all this stuff?
I saw, yes. Oh, yeah.
Did it not occur to you that most cities and counties have?
I've never had to deal with the city. I've never purchased a property that was this run down before. This is my first go around with this. But like I said, my plan is to bring everything up to code. We want to do modifications on the inside of the house.
Do you have an architect?
I do have an architect. I would like to pull permits as owner, and we're working towards that. I have contacted the city. The city, we've gone back and forth. I have to have all my FPL numbers in line before I can even pull a permit. So we're working towards pulling the permit and getting that done. By this next cutoff hearing, I will have my permit, but again, it's going to be another 6 months at least before, we can bring everything up.
You would have
to-
no objection if we ruled that by the next cutoff, you have the permits in place?
I will do my best to have the permits in place, and I will provide you with paperwork stating everything that we're working on if I don't have the permit.
You have contractors lined up? Or?
I'm wanting to do everything by owner. We're looking to move into it ourselves.
Well, some things you can't do by owner.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Can I just ask a clarifying question? Are there people occupying this property?
No.
Okay. I
No,
heard the
the
word
property's
tenants and then
property's
owner-occupied.
empty.
Okay.
No. And I was thinking at first, like the letter I got just had a bunch of numbers on it. I had no clue, that all these violations, I was thinking, well, hey, I can go out there and make you guys happy and board up the windows and make sure that nobody can get hurt on the property or something like that, to make you guys happy in the meantime, while we're working on trying to get the proper paperwork and stuff.
Have you
lined
done
up.
any of these things? Some of these things are very simple. They're outside.
I've only been to the property twice.
Well, there's too much innocence here. If you have junk outside, you
There's
see
no,
it.
There's no
move it.
junk outside. There's nothing outside. There's no shed on the property. There's nothing. Those items were removed by the previous owner. There has been no change to the property since he took ownership 2 months ago, and he was aware that there was a code case that was already found in noncompliance. Now, whether he knew exactly what that meant, I can't speak to that, but he was aware of the case. I was thinking board up some windows and, But to clarify, you were aware that there was a code case when you bought the property? I was thinking we board up some windows or something like that. I didn't know that this extent of the deal until today.
Okay, thank you.
I think
There's a motion to fine a post of $100 per day beginning today. Case number CEB 1120203, Michael Lewis, until compliance is achieved.
She's called, so I'll wait.
I gave the motion. The city requested $100 per day.
And I'll make the motion.
Okay. Sears?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Robinson, motion, Mr. Ryan Hart, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Mr. Lewis, it has been motion to impose a fine of $100 per day.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you stay in touch with Mr. Yates and then let him know what's achieved and when it's the permits and stuff are going to be?
This clarification of the motion is $100 per day to a maximum of $15,000.
So
if you come into compliance short of the time period, whatever, it's $100 per day.
But I'm saying it's going to be at least 6 months. So you're telling me I'm going to pay $15,000 more on the property? Once you come into compliance, you can request a lien review, at which point you can make a case for why it should be reduced. So, but I'm coming into this at the end. I understand that the previous owners were not compliant. I understand that. But we're trying to bring it up into compliance, and we want to do the best that we can. But I kind of feel like
however long these other people have had to make this into compliance, we just purchased the property. Why shouldn't we get that same amount of time, maybe?
He didn't have it, but Inspector Yates said that you knew of the violation.
I had a piece of paper that had numbers on it, and I spoke with Mr. Yates, and he rattled off some stuff.
What I would suggest that you do is you start getting things done.
Yes, sir.
Document everything you do.
Okay,
When you come back for the lien review, you can tell us, I did this, I did this, I did this.
okay,
We may look favorably on that.
all right.
But let's get it, come into compliance. That's the most important thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Case number 44, CEB 04-21106, Mayor O'Keefe and Mayor O'Keefe Trust, compliance 5/7/21. Case number 45, CEB 1020191, Dorothy Mayhew, 410 Henry Butts Drive.
What's your name, please?
Dorothy Mayhew.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Mayhew, we're here for Mr. Garcia.
Inspector Garcia, credentials on file with the City of Daytona Beach. Since the last hearing, I have had contact with Ms. Mayhew, the owner, and she is, and I spoke to the Florida, Rebuild Florida, and she is in the design service phase where they're requesting approval from the city to demolish the building and then rebuild. And she's given me an email here from Rebuild stating the progress.
Have a copy for the case file?
Let me see this. Okay, and what is your recommendation?
Recommendation is allowing the amend to the July cutoff.
We,
I make a motion to amend to the July cutoff, case number CEB 102191.
I will second.
or return. Did you say second? Yes. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Okay, Mrs. Mayhew, you have until July,
July 2nd, I believe?
July 7th.
June.
Is it July 7th? Yeah. to
The
return.
cutoff
The
is
cutoff
actually
is
June
6.
30th for
It's
the July meeting.
6:30. Yeah, yeah, it's 6:30. So, and please stay in touch with Mr. Garcia.
I will, thank you.
Okay.
Am I
Thank
finished?
you.
Thank you.
7-1, okay. Case number 46, CEB 042081, Saskatchewan Rayon.
Hello.
610 South Ridgewood.
How are you?
Good morning.
State your name.
Sasiwan Radiyom, 610 South Bridgewood.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Garcia.
And since the last hearing, I have had contact with the owner, and we were making progress, and she had contacted the city downstairs, and they decided on making a change. So with that said, we're asking to amend the cutoff, and I can explain, she can explain what the change is, and I can explain also. But the change is gonna make it shorter. The project will be shorter from the one that we were working on, or she was working on.
Okay, so the city's recommending.
Is to amend to the next cutoff.
Okay. Okay. to?
I have sold my old house, and I plan to move into this house to make it as a single home. And right now, I have 5 tenants, 5 families that I have to evict after CDC moratorium on the 30th of June. And I did try. I paid around $1,000 with the Zoom in court 3 times, tried to evict them. One did not pay my rent after CDC. Actually, I have 2 more properties, which right now less than half that paid me after January. So I had no way out. I sold my house because I need money to run my business, and it has been sold and closed already in April. And I intend to move into this house and made it as my home. And right now, I don't need any 5, and it's too expensive, and too expensive to maintain, and also to make it happen because it's $50,000, which I prefer not to pay it at all and pay less, and did with just 1 driveway for my own house because I am a widow, and I don't need 4 or 5 cars. I have just 1 car and my house. That's all. And this is what I need the time to evict these people because it's impossible to fight with the CDC. And the judge could prove that I get to the Zoom, and I paid for 3 evictions, which never been successful. So I need July, the whole month, to evict these people, which I feel so sorry for them because they really like the house. And I have no choice because it's hard to maintain. Also, I did not gain anything. So I need time, at least August, to start up. And I talked to the architect, to Missy Phillips last month about this plan. And she said I can do it, just to change the 5 electricity to 1. And 4 kitchens have to be demolished, which is easy to do. But I need time to the evictions with these people, which is almost impossible to find something cheaper with the good location for them. But I have to live in this house. I have no choice.
May I interrupt you? How does this solve the driveway problem?
I will do as a single home because right now I live there by myself. I don't need 10 parkings.
Yeah.
I don't need 24-foot driveway. I need just a single home to comply.
So once you've moved into the house, this goes away?
Once she's converted to a single-family unit, it would be allowing, the project would be a lesser cost and lesser time frame.
But we've been going through this for 2 years. I mean, she
yes,
keeps
and-
coming back.
And cost
Keeps
me
asking for
10,000.
time,
Cost me
and
10,000.
it's not resolved.
Just to, I guess, just to make sure everybody's on the same page as far as the history on this, this was a situation where she was trying to have a multifamily living house, and that when the driveway began to be addressed by us, it brought to light that there needed to be adequate parking for the amount of units that were there, and that's what started her down that path of getting that project going. As she's worked through that project just recently, she's decided to abandon that project, that it's just not feasible and she's not able to do it. So she's reverting the house back to a single-family home, and that would mean that a regular driveway would essentially be adequate, and she would be able to resolve that problem as part of the process. And so ultimately, the case wouldn't be in compliance until that part was resolved, but we are now on a clear path to resolve it, which is obviously probably a shorter path than we were on before. That's just the information of where we're at. I don't think the city would agree to an August cutoff. We certainly don't want this to be out for 3 months lingering, but like a July cutoff would probably be reasonable for us.
Okay.
Because the city is also out a lot of money. We're probably out $1,000 just hitsing around with this.
You are correct. Many staff members just spent a lot of time trying to work through this process, some of which is part of the fees that are collected during that process, but some of it is just our time and inspection time.
Did I date myself with Pitzing?
So the, Mr. Garcia, the motion is for July?
August, because July, I have to evict these people after 30th of June.
Yeah.
So it takes
Well, you
me
could
1
stay in
month,
touch with him and come back with him, so.
August.
Can we get a?
I'll make a motion, we accept the city's recommendation of the July cutoff.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Reinhardt, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And that is,
Thank you.
well, thank you, is to July, that is, did you give her the date?
It's the
Seven.
June 30th, 29th. The meeting is actually July 8th.
Ma'am, I don't think that the eviction process would stop you working on the driveway, so I would recommend you get working on that during the same time frame as well. That would clear your case up.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, case number 47, CEB 022171, Daniel Jr. and Altamise Collins, 830 Berkshire Road. Okay. Mr. Garcia.
Since the last hearing, I have had contact with the owner, and there has been no progress made. So staff's requesting a fine of $100 a day, capped at $10,000.
Okay. Motion to impose a fine of $100 per day, capped at $10,000, beginning today, until compliance is achieved. Case number is CEB 022171, 830 Berkshire Road.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Case number 48, CEB 032189, Barbara Jean Fudge Estate, compliance 5/10/21. Case number 49, CEB 04211110, Christopher Nelson at 1336 Imperial Drive.
Since the last hearing, I have had contact with the owner, and there has been no progress since the last hearing, and staff's requesting a fine of $100 a day, capped at $10,000.
Okay. Motion to impose a fine of $100 per day, capped at $10,000, beginning today until, with the address given, until compliance is achieved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Case number
Oh,
50.
we need to vote.
Vote.
Vote. Vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Case number 50, CEB 04211111, Robert Mastusak, 262 Lexington Drive.
Since the last hearing, I have had no contact with the owner's sister, and there has been no progress. Staff's recommending a fine of $100 a day, kept at $10,000.
Okay. Motion to impose a fine of $100 per day, capped at $10,000, beginning today until compliance is achieved.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Robertson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Case number 51, CEB 04211112, Robert Mastusak, 266 Lexington Drive.
That one's in compliance.
Clearance, compliance 5/12/21.
Correct.
Okay. Case number 52, CEB 022175, to Chandra S. Bush and Tanisha Small, 600 South Caroline Street.
Could you state your name, please?
Tanisha Smalls.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Small, we'll hear from Ms. Kirk.
We've been working on the property. We've
Now,
gotten,
Miss-
oh,
We're going to hear from Ms. Kurt first, please.
Since the last hearing, I have had contact with the property owner. There has been some progress. It's pretty close to coming into compliance. Staff is recommending to amend to the next cutoff so she can have the remainder of the violations in compliance.
we've been working on the project. It's just been a hard time with our contractor. We went from 2 to 3 weeks to now. We was expecting to be done, but I've been calling her and keeping in contact with her and letting her know like our humps along the road. So just asking for an extension to try to get the rest complete.
Okay. This,
I'll make a motion, we accept the city's recommendation and amend it to the next cutoff.
I'll second.
moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Ms. Small, it has been moved to the next cutoff. And would you please stay in touch with Ms. Kirk?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Case number 53, CEB 022177, Gerald L. Thomas, compliance 5/12/21. Case number 54, CEB 032180, Albert Burden and Emma Saren Ayers, 241 Lockhart Street. Mr. Burden.
Okay, since the last hearing, I have not had any contact with the new owner or the previous owner. There has been no progress. Staff is requesting a fine of $100 a day to a max of $15,000.
Motion to impose a fine of $100 per day with cap at $10,000 beginning today until compliance is achieved at this address.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Case number 55, CEB 032188. Thank you. Jolly Lindo, 347 South Martin Luther King Drive. Ms. Kirk?
Thank you. Since the last hearing, I have had no contact with the property owner. And one of the violations that I put into compliance is now back in non-compliance. That's an inoperable vehicle. Staff is requesting a fine of $100 a day to a max of $15,000.
Okay. Motion to impose a fine of $100 per day, capped at $10,000, beginning today, May 13th, until compliance.
The cap was 15,000.
Cap is $100 per day.
So moved.
Beginning today, cap at $15,000, okay.
I'll make a motion.
Until compliance is achieved at this address.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Ryan Hard, motion. Mr. Robertson, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Case number 56, CEB 042195, Steve and Sarah Catlett, 548 Magnolia. Ms. Kirk, oh, excuse me.
State your name, please.
Steve Alva Catlett.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want us to get you a mic so that you can sit?
No, I'll be fine.
Okay. Mr. Catlett, we're going to hear from Ms. Kirk.
Okay.
Okay, since the last hearing, there has been a lot of progress on the property. I feel that Mr. Catlett can fix the remainder of the violations by the next cutoff date. So I'm staff is requesting to amend to the next cutoff for compliance.
I have a proposal from a roofing company.
Okay.
It's gonna take them 2 weeks. I even called the fence department too, and they're gonna take 2 to 3 weeks too. I've already signed that. I just got Suncoast Fencing Company, and they're gonna come and fix my front, because I can't do it no more. My leg is too bad. I can't do the work. I can't
Okay.
do the work myself. I can't.
You said 2 to 3 weeks?
Yes, and this is gonna be done, this is already signed and sealed. So I haven't paid for it, it's $850 to fix the patch, and that's the patch on the roof. And
That's an old picture.
No, that
right.
board's been down.
Right, I was just showing,
Yeah,
so I could show the board the progress.
right.
So a more current picture,
Now,
next,
that hole right there, I have to fix that, I got that.
next slide, please.
You know?
There we go, that's a current picture.
It's a
so-
Habitat house, so I'm on meager funds, okay?
Okay.
It was 30 years ago, I know, but still. I know it's my responsibility to take care of the house, but
He said 2 to 2 weeks, and Mrs. Kirk has.
the virus couldn't help
recommended
either.
next
Not-
cutoff.
Nobody was working at all. I couldn't get any help. Nobody was working. Everybody was shut down for 4 months.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to the next cutoff.
okay,
I'll second.
okay.
Do I have to pay a fine?
No,
No.
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 I don't
Your
know,
next
I don't
cutoff.
understand, I really don't understand
Nick, while you're
homeowners.
ahead.
Okay.
Excuse me?
Sir,
Who's going to announce it?
I'm sorry.
Mr. Reinhardt, motion, Mr. Robinson, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Catlett, you have until next cutoff, which is the 6:30, to come into compliance. And you said you needed a couple of weeks.
Yes.
It's 6/2, and
That's next month?
yes.
Yes.
Next
It's the second of next month.
Yes,
Get everything replaced.
right,
But
And
the window,
please
the
stay in
windows,
touch
I have no
with her.
problem with the windows.
okay,
I was for boarding for the storms.
okay. Please stay in touch with Ms. Kirk.
Okay.
No, just call me. When you think you're in compliance, just contact me.
Is this your number? I don't know, which one? How do I call you?
You
called me Okay.
this morning.
I did? Yes, I thought I did. But I called it from another piece of paper, though. Well, I got too many paper, you know.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Sorry.
Catlett.
No problem.
Case number 57, CUB 042197, Janie Lou Rogers, 717 Magnolia.
Could you state your name, please?
Yes, Paramnia Grant,
P-E-R,
ROMNIA,
and your last name is
Grant.
Grant. And your relationship to,
Janie, she's my mother.
raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Grant, we're going to hear from Ms. Kirk first.
Okay.
Since the last hearing, there has been progress on the property. I have had contact with Ms. Grant. We are asking to amend to the June cutoff date to allow the remaining violations to be completed.
Okay. The city's, Mrs. Grant, do you have anything to say?
Oh, I just want to say, I want to commend Sarah. She has been extremely professional, and I appreciate the fact that when I call, if she's not there, she responds to my call. She calls back. I've emailed, and she's responded to the email. So I appreciate her professionalism. And just also want to say that we are doing what she has asked us to do. So we should be finished. I think the only thing is left is to do the painting of the building. And I have that scheduled for Saturday, hoping that the weather permits. And then the fencing, I've been in touch with AAA, and they have given me a date of June 2nd to actually come out. I don't know why. They said that they are really booked, but they will come out on June 2nd. But if that doesn't work, I will take the fence down. My understanding is that we would be in compliance by listening to others if we take the fence down. So we would take the fence down.
I'll make a motion to
then.
the next
You-
cutoff.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been motioned by Mr. Reinhardt, second by Mr. Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, Ms. Grant, you have until the next cutoff.
Okay.
And as you said, stay in touch with Ms.
Okay.
Burke. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We now have our lien review, CEB 06-20140.
Ms. Tynes, we have one other new
Yeah,
case.
amended.
that's
One
up.
more case.
Amended?
Case number,
You have to leave review, we have one case.
Yeah,
Oh, that
Anthony.
email?
yeah, the email
Do the leave
case.
review, do the leave review now, and we got one case more. The addendum.
You got extras? Use one.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Is it on here? Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I didn't have that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's just, it's all right, you got it right there.
Okay. No, I was wondering, did I have it before? Okay. Case number 58, CEB 032186. Helen Sislosis at 1404 Ruthburn Road. Mr. Stinson.
Good afternoon, Inspector Stinson. Qualifications are on file with the city. This is a progress report for 1404 Ruthburn. Miss Ioli was here this morning. She did have a copy. Finally, she did get the deed in her name. She still needs to get it recorded. I sent her downstairs so she could start the process to obtain a permit to repair her roof. Hopefully, she can get this done by the next cutoff, but we shall see.
Okay. So you've heard the city recommendation for the next cutoff? None, this is a new case, so it's non-compliance or compliance, right?
Correct, yes.
So it's gonna be non-compliance to the next cutoff.
Yes.
That's the city's recommendation.
That's correct.
All right, I'll make the motion, we accept the city's recommendation and find that the property in non-compliance be
Second.
complied with by the next cutoff.
Okay. Been moved by Mr. Robertson, second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
Now, now we're at the lien review.
We
See,
need to have 4 affirmative votes, 4 out of 5, on the lien review.
the lien, okay.
State your name, please. D-U-R.
DROSCHE.
And your relationship to Ms. Edwards?
Daughter.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, Madam Chair, as with lien reviews, it's a request of the,
Oh, she's requesting
yeah,
a waiver.
responding on
Okay.
an action they want to take.
Okay. Ms. Barney.
I became aware of this back in August. My mother fell ill. She had an aneurysm, and during her craniotomy, she ended up having 2 strokes. She was in a comatose state for months. She is now bedridden. When I realized what the case was, I demolished the property, so it's now in, obviously, up to code. But she was obviously, and having a lot of problems up until that point. I lived in Kentucky and didn't know the problems to that point. I don't have the money to pay for these fines. I didn't know it was in this condition, but it is now taken care of. I know she had issues with Mr. McCoy. He wouldn't return phone calls. It went back and forth. I do have all kinds of records here that she kept with him. I mean, he wouldn't return calls. He didn't do this. There's also 2 other properties that she had issues with him, but they're all in code now. But like I said, I need something done with these fines.
Okay, so what are you requesting?
If we can just hopefully wipe the slate clean. I mean, I've brought it up to date, it's current. I'm her caregiver. I live in her house now. I take care of her 24 hours a day. I had to pay somebody to sit with her today so I could be here to do this. It cost me over $6,000 just to get it demolished and brought to code, which came out of pocket.
Okay. Mr. Jones, what is the city's recommendation?
Well, this property was found in non-compliance. Well, let me go back. The case opened back in May of 2017. The notice of violation was generated and it was signed for on May 24th of 2017 with compliance due on June 26th of 2017. Back on May 26th, the owner did call and talk with the inspector, McCoy, and she felt that she would be able to get the corrections done within that time that he had given him, which is a 30-day compliance, or compliance on June 26th, 2017. The property was found in noncompliance by the board on July of 2020. On September 10th of 2020, the board fined the property $100 a day with a cap of $20,000. A demo permit was finally submitted on October 7th, 2020, but it was not finalized. The permit was not finalized until February 10th of this year. Staff feels with the length of time that we do not believe a reduction is deserved at this time.
When 2017, the property was brought to code. Like I said, she had issues with Mr. McCoy. He wouldn't and didn't come out and re-inspect. And then you obviously see it was in 2020 that he came back and said it was not in code again. That was, obviously 3 years later. So, it took him 3 years to come back and say, this, it's not in code. What had happened since then was the hurricane came through and knocked a tree down and on the property. And it took down part of it. You can see in some of the pictures that that's what had happened. There's a tree down. And we obviously got the tree removed and tore the property down. You can see in some of those pictures, the tree is laying over on the property. It knocked that piece down.
Okay.
Did your mother take ill
She had an aneurysm on August 25th.
this of last year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Gonzalez?
Mr. Jones, can you explain the gap between, I know it wasn't your case then, but what was the gap between 17 and 20?
I can't answer that completely. I do have a lot of conversations noted in our Trackit system, our computer system for this case, of where Inspector McCoy did talk with the property owner, and it even came back that it would possibly be a demo case that would have come before the city, where we had our building inspector go out and look at it. I can't speak to the, it was never put into compliance. I can't speak to exactly what all the time frame happened between when he originally talked with the owner and she said she thought she would be able to bring it into compliance. until last year with Inspector Jerome McCoy's notes, and then I'm the one who presented this case before the board last year.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how, because we're always complaining now, we keep getting these cases every month. How come this case wasn't every month before the board back then?
I can't speak to that.
I can tell you that we've done a lot of work in the last 6 months to clean up old cases to prevent that from occurring in the future. But there were cases that inspectors, especially inspectors that aren't here any longer, had that lingered a long time for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's because they're too accommodating to people who are not really making progress, and sometimes they're just not able to follow up on it because of their workload or don't get to them. So that's why myself and Mark Jones and Denzel Sykes have worked to kind of refine that process. And that's why you're seeing shorter timeframes on some of your cases now, because we've eliminated most of the old cases, and these are a couple of the lingering ones.
So what are our thoughts on reducing the fine?
I'd like to make a motion.
I came into the hearing we had on September 13th.
Excuse me, ma'am, I'm getting ready to make a motion. My motion is in the case of CB 06-20-140, to lower the fine from the 15,000 to 7,500, in this case, due to the extenuating circumstances, and taking those into consideration. So my motion is to lower the fine to 7,500.
Okay. Mr. Gonzalez has motioned to reduce the amount of the lien to 7,500.
Able when, Mr. Gonzalez?
Subject in 30 days.
Yeah, 30 days.
Subject to being paid within 30 days, or the fine will revert to the original amount.
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Robertson, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay. Ms. Edward, your fine has been reduced to 7,500, but if it is not paid within 30 days, it will revert to the 15,000.
I came in on the hearing for September 13th of last year. And when I took over this, it was done. I mean, he said my permits were applied for within the next month. And, I mean, it took a few months for the permits to get approved. And I had it done within, a few months. That's why I was asking for this,
But because of the length of time and thing, that was the reduction. So you have 30 days to clear that up, Ms. Edward. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any discussions? I just have one thing. Where did this come from? And I went on this thing 3 days and I didn't see it. Or was
Came a
it
few
me?
days ago.
What, that last case was a,
The addendum.
When did that come out, Ken?
How did it was in my packet.
Oh, yeah, it was in your was it in their packet? Yeah.
No, I didn't. I went.
I gave him mine.
See, he gave it to
I
me,
gave
but
her
what I'm
mine.
saying, I'm at
What's the
home.
very last page of what's the very last page of my packet? The very last
Got it
page.
emailed.
Yeah, I got mine email.
It's all right, we got it done. We got it done.
We did.
He handled it.
I have a question,
Now, that's a little L grade on me now. Come on.
on the record, yeah.
I
have a question, if I may, because I need some clarification of the discussion we had before. because before when we were doing the initial part of our cases, the discussion came up about giving extensions or not giving extensions, 30 days, 20 days, 30 days, 2 months, that type of discussion that we had. Then we jumped back into giving more extensions. And so, that confuses me as to for which ones are we in agreement that we can go with 30 days or 90 days, and which ones we don't. 'Cause each case is individual. It has its individual needs and circumstances, and we should consider them individually. But if we're not consistent, then we're sending a wrong message to the people that's sitting out here. Just like the lady said, well, you gave the lawyer, but you're not giving it to me, which, I didn't agree with her because her case was on since 2017. So I think we all need to be on the same page is all I'm saying.
I agree with you in general, but as the meeting wore on, it became more clear to me.
Right.
We gave an extension to the lady, the lawyer, in the beginning, because I think she presented her case to us with more clarity and had more definite goals down the way. And in the beginning, I was thinking if we give an extension, if we don't give an extension, we're locking the people in. But when the city comes before us to impose the fine, they a lot of times amend it and push off us imposing a fine for another month, which is good.
Right. Well, we will agree with them, but we have to be consistent.
But are we getting confused on, our new cases are compliance and
Right,
non-compliance?
Right, they're pretty cut
And
and
usually
dry.
we stay with that, I guess, until something comes up that is a little unusual. And we did have a couple of those today.
Yeah.
But it's different from the imposing the fine. Then they have more time, we have more time to disagree or not disagree. But now that's my thing on the new cases. That's our main thing is are there non-compliance, and then when they come back again.
Right.
Okay.
I think the new cases is pretty cut and dry usually, but if somebody does do a good job explaining their need for more time, it saves us from having to rehash it in another month, when 2 months it's gonna be solved. I just think we should have a general rule of thumb that we go by, but still be willing to make exceptions.
I thought that's what
If
we
you
were
get
doing
my
today.
drift.
We made some exceptions.
If I can just say this, I think part of, and Charlie, just if I get off track here, but I think part of the confusion may just be terminology. On an issue case, you're not really extending, you're establishing a time period. And so it's not, they're calling it an extension, but it's not an extension. It's what time period you want to establish for some significant action to take place. Whether that action is that it's compliance, that's what you're going to announce it as. But what you're really looking for is some significant action that says someone's moving towards compliance. And in every situation, it needs to be measured on, are you giving them a reasonable opportunity to comply? In many circumstances, it can happen in 30 days because they could tear it down, but that's not really their goal. But what you want to know is when you come back that second time, when you're coming back from the position of fine, now you're reviewing what actions were taken by this respondent. You've given them an opportunity. Because if you give everyone, 60 days because they asked for it or 90 days because they asked for it, you can find yourself coming back in 90 days and nothing's happened at all. And so giving that initial shorter time period to really be able to assess and look at what's happening or what progress is being made without calling it a progress report, but really, because if you call it a progress report, you don't leave yourself the opportunity to sanction if indeed nothing's being done and it's someone who's saying, I'm not going to do it. So that's kind of the mindset, but it's really centered on the thought of you, the board, the staff is giving them, whether it's been 6 weeks, 3 days, or 6 years, the staff is giving them the time that the staff felt they were allowed to and maxed out on that time, and now they're to the board, and it's the board that's establishing, one, making a finding of the noncompliance, but then also, second, establishing a time period that you want them to come back with either having it completed or making significant steps towards completion. And so that's what we're really asking for when we ask for the 30 days. And if it's not realistic that it can possibly be done because of they're in litigation or they've, like, they spelled out these steps and they have contracts that match those, and then those are decisions y'all get to make, but those are probably best on a case-by-case. And so, one of the things we probably want to be careful of, and I know we said it a number of times today, is that you only get 30 days. You don't only get 30 days. You get whatever time that y'all believe is reasonable so that you can continue to assess and evaluate the case. But you do find them in compliance and noncompliance, and you're establishing a time period.
I consider that compliance, non-compliance, you go to court, you ask you what your plea is, then you come back for your trial. Two different things. That's the way, and that's basically what we've been doing. Are you in the compliance or not? You're in non-compliance, fine. You're coming back and you're going to have your hearing.
Yeah,
Which
and
time we can decide on the circumstances then.
And that thinking is fair thinking in terms of looking at the whole picture, right? The whole picture is, okay, now we know we agree you're in compliance, and 30 days will be a time that we can know what's going on here. However, if you present this case of time necessity, it's something you can always assess, and so the person asked, how come that one got it, I didn't get it? Well, because we've assessed based on their presentation and made a decision. You're making decisions based on what's being presented. I guess if we put it into what happens in court, which it's really not the same, but as close as we can, if we put it into what happens in court, it's kind of like going to that arraignment, that time when you ask, are you guilty or not guilty, and saying, okay, I'm not guilty, but, or I'm not ready to announce that, can I get a continuance before we even address that, which is kind of what Ms. Metz was kind of doing. It's saying, I don't want to deal with any of it until I can get more information. And so people come and they make those types of arguments in court. They can make those arguments here. You guys are the ones who decide. And if you establish your rule of thumb, just, it's not a locked legal rule, but it's, if you establish your practices on, 30 days is what you do, then 30 days is what you do, unless you have compelling argument that gives you additional time. And I don't know if Charlie has any more he wants to say on that.
Yeah, I just want to say, first of all, I try not to be in this position another board member. That's not my role here. Each case relies on its own. And in some cases, you're going to want, some cases where the inactivity is because of the inactivity is due to the response person themselves. They want to give a continuance. They're lazy, they don't want to get their stuff done. But there may be situations like for a court hearing, for example, in an eviction case. We need an eviction to get action taken. Situation where there's a check coming in from an insurance company. You can't fix the house, they get this money from the insurance company. Situation comes in where there's we have to order windows. Windows take 6 months to get the windows ordered. Those are the kind of cases you may want to give a little bit of an extension to. Those kinds, because it's out of the hands of the respondent. But then you got a situation where this respondent doesn't want to do anything. Just sit down a month. We don't want to give them a break. That's where the fines come in. It's just my thoughts,
Captain Lee?
Well, I think most of what I was originally walking up here for, you guys kind of already discussed. So, I won't really kind of rehash that. I will tell you that just to give you a little bit of perspective, since you don't see what goes on in the background, there's hours throughout the month, hours upon hours that staff spend on preparing what happens in this room when we come here. And for us, just for some perspective, when we bring a new case to you, we're just worried about proving that there was non-compliance, because otherwise, if there was compliance, we wouldn't be bringing it before you. And then really, we just look for next cutoff. We always look for that, because what we're hoping is that every part of this process is important, right? When we send out the first notice, some people fix it right away. Some people, when they get that second contact by the inspector, they fix it at that point. Sometimes it takes all the way up to getting them into a notice of hearing and then in front of you. And our hope is that when they realize, okay, now I'm in front of the board, I have an established time frame that I've got to show some progress in, that they go out and make that progress. And we're always going to come back and we're going to report that progress to you. And that also gives them an opportunity that if there were extenuating circumstances where they need extended amounts of time, they would be able to come back to that next hearing and give a presentation of their own and respond to why they needed a longer time frame, maybe have an established project plan or something like that that would be able to support that. And we're open to that, because ultimately at the end of the day, the goal is compliance. It's not fines. So just to give you an idea, when we come in here and ask for this stuff, it's not things that we're just kind of making up while we're up here at the stand. Now, sometimes we have to call audibles and work with what information is presented in the room, and we do that all the time. But I just want
the 15 hours with,
yeah,
with me, right?
yeah. Just wanted to let you guys kind of know that, when we come in, those are the things that we've discussed in the background. Staff has all discussed that. Supervisors have reviewed that. We discussed that with legal, so that they're prepared and know how to present the case as well. So
Speaking
Well,
of,
what I enjoy, well, I didn't enjoy, but what was helpful to me today was when Inspector Yates stated that the man did have knowledge of the fines before. Because I was thinking, he didn't have any kind of knowledge, but then
That was a decided.
Inspector, Yates said, no, he knew.
Definitely went out and talked to
Yeah.
him.
speaking of discussions, I've noticed a new consistency in the amount of fines being recommended, that every single one of them was $100 and every single off.
Yeah.
You reached an agreement on that?
Well, we've kind of, for ourselves, we evaluate on a case-by-case basis, just like we just had that conversation with you guys. So we're never going to say we're always going to come in and ask for this. But for us, we have kind of established a realm where we like to be, unless there's extenuating circumstances. And there are cases that have extenuating circumstances, and we'll come in and ask for more. But we're kind of... I guess that kind of goes to my conversation before about, hey, we're spending a lot of time in the background doing this. Again, fines are part of that. We don't come in here and give you a fine amount without having put thought into it. Like we put genuine thought into it. We have discussions. We challenge each other on why we're asking for those fines, and we have that debate in the background to make sure that we are being as fair as we possibly can.
And my question basically,
And you'll notice, I'm sorry, I'll just add to that, that you'll notice that the majority of the time when we come in, we're asking for much lower fines than we're statutorily allowed to ask for, and that's because we just want compliance. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So, my question for clarification is not directed as what the staff is recommending or not recommending, because I usually go along with what the staff recommends. But to us, the board, we need to develop, more consistency and what we dish out in the cases. Sometimes I see us contradict ourselves and dealing with one case in one way, then a similar case in a different way. And that's the concern I have, because I pretty much go along with what the staff recommends. So my issue is not, it's just that we, the board, need to get more consistent.
Yeah, I think that's the tough part of it, right? If you try to put cases into buckets, not all cases fit into a bucket all the time. So it's like you got to find that reasonable realm where they exist. And your perspective, another perspective on the board might be completely different. It's because your own experience, your own knowledge, your own interpretation of the facts. And that's part of the validity of having a board, right? It's to have opinions up here. You guys discuss it. You guys make a decision collectively and vote on them. That's an important part of the process. I think because that process exists like that, it also makes it appear in some instances where you're not being consistent, but I think the consistency is, are you truly evaluating the facts and the information that's presented to you and making the best decision or the fairest decision as you possibly can?
And something we talked about in training before
Yeah,
as
I
well.
was going
is-
to suggest, Tony, maybe when you slow down, you ever slow down,
Yeah.
we could maybe have a workshop, we could talk about some of these issues.
Yeah.
We have a new member
We
here.
did discuss that.
We could talk about some of these issues, because like, for example, I was telling, what about ex-party communication? I didn't know if Mr. Reiner knew what that was. He said he does, so we're okay.
Yeah, it was in this package.
Yeah, and I was just about to make point that, you know, even in the prior trainings that we've had or workshops, that we kind of emphasized that reminder that as a board, one of the things that you have different than a magistrate is that you actually have different ideas that you get to openly deliberate. You know, magistrate got to deal with it in his head, but y'all can actually, without being, you know, frustrated with each other, say, this is what I feel, this is what I feel, and come up with some
That was the whole idea,
conclusions.
back when they, 1984, when they came up with the boards. That was the idea, to have different people, different perspectives, make decisions for people, not to make it a court.
Right.
There were no such thing as magistrates back in 1984,
Right.
just boards.
Right, right. Well, I just think that when you have similar cases, they should be treated fairly similarly. Not,
You and the board.
yeah, I know, that's what I'm talking to the board.
Yeah.
And not switch up because somebody's taller than somebody, or shorter, or whatever, or they're wearing a blue shirt, you know, or a green shirt. So I'm just hoping that we can be fair with everybody,
You guys are
because,
very fair.
right.
But
I work on other boards, you guys are
one
very fair.
thing I like, and I think the board should start doing, with Mr. Harrington doing, Mr. Robinson started today, we need to start getting into making the motions all
We
the
do-
way through.
did better at
We
the end.
do, from the board member instead of
Everybody
the
has
chair.
those sheets.
Yeah.
All I did is read off of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you did have a, we were wondering like. what-
Yeah, but I had one too, but it wasn't
other
what
side.
you
I know how to
had.
make a motion.
Yeah.
We used to wedge, we used to read you, just read them off the sheet.
Yeah, yeah, but,
It is
you know, I
better.
think it's good when each one can do it, then it becomes more memorable.
Because I could tell you at the
That's a
county,
good
they wouldn't
point.
accept the motion like what we've been doing. Just say, I approve.
Yeah.
Each person reads out the full caseload and what their motion is.
Well, I think that's what Captain
You guys
Lee
are
and
doing better at the
Mr.
end, yeah.
Jackson
You
was
guys are doing
telling
better.
us. Yeah, okay.
It's just,
You're
you know,
back.
we got
I don't know, it
like,
just seems like you try and
You try to make it
to
easier.
shorten it instead of dragging it out. We all know we're talking
Yeah,
about
but
cases,
see, when she
blah,
does the
blah,
orders,
blah.
when she does the orders, it has all that in it.
Yeah, that's
She does the
probably,
orders, it has all that in there, all that stuff.
On that.
Yeah.
that's probably the most relevant part of the conversation, though, is what you're actually voting on.
Yeah.
And that's why we're kind of stuck on that, is because we don't want to have an appeal or something down the road where they call into question how they understood what was ordered. And, you know, we're just trying to make sure things are clear to the folks that are in the room so that they can take the action they need to take.
Because unfortunately, well, I won't say unfortunately, I mean, you're going to have a written order, and we have standard language, so we know what the written order is going to say. But you also have a pronounced or order that you said in their presence, and if it was different than that, then they can walk away with justified confusion in terms of what, you know, you only said I can have to pay $1,000, I don't have to pay any more than that. That's the only thing she ordered.
day.
Well, that is true, but here's what the order says.
Gotta be per
You know,
day.
so that's just some of the things we have to just think about and make sure we're, you know, may never come up. But one time up,
One
then
time's too many.
it burns you, and then you remember
That
it.
was too many.
Well, thank you for the clarifications.
No problem. It's a healthy conversation. It's good.
Good, is that?
Good job, Fran.
Okay.
You did a good
Go
job,
again,
Tom.
Tom.
It's not easy.